What's good, everybody? Welcome to Fisk Radio. You know what I'm saying? This is episode 1. I told y'all we was going to be making some changes around here. We was going to be doing new things. So, from now on, when we go live, outside of shots fired, outside of bulletproof giants, from now on, we going to have Fisk Radio. From now on, that's how we rock. And that's the new name of my live streams. So get used to it. You understand? With that being said, we will have a guest on this very first episode of Fisk Radio. We will have Jameis 1of1. He will be in here shortly. He's working out some technical things. He's a great author. Wrote a wonderful book about Jameis Winston. And I can't wait to have him on. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be fireworks. He loves Jameis. I love Danny. It'll be great. And from what everything I've heard, you know what I'm saying, from everything I've been told, he's a savage. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people scared to debate him. A lot of people scared to take this man on. But he ain't never stepped in front of this Fisk unit microphone. He ain't never been in this Fisk unit arena. This Fisk unit arena is different. Many have tried, many have failed. But no one comes in here and beats Big Fist. All right? Floyd Mayweather, YouTube. I don't take L's. Debates, beefs, making valid points. It don't matter. Whatever it is, it's what we do, man. With that also being said, let's get to a couple of these super chats. Slip back. Appreciate that first super chat tonight. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for keeping the lights on in this building. Some of y'all get sponsors. I had supporters. Ain't no difference. Shout out to Slipback, though. Shout out to Slipback, though. Fisk, I don't know if you heard the news about Fat Boy Dable going to the Matt Rule, about to get that Matt Rule deal in Miami. So we getting Flores. I don't know what we doing about quarterback then. Hey, listen, check this out, man. I told y'all a week ago, a whole week ago, that Brian Dable was the favorite in Miami. I told you Jared Mayo was the favorite for the Texans, and I told y'all Den Quinn was the favorite in Denver. I said this a week ago. All right. Listen, y'all got to understand, man. I got sources. I know people. It's a little hard to claim me in public sometimes because, you know, my channel get a little violent. I say some crazy shit. So a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, they rock with me behind closed doors. I got a lot of closed doors friends. I do. Behind the scenes, I got a lot of friends in high places. I know things. Some people, because of my brand, can't always associate with me. And I understand that. It comes with the territory. But I told y'all a week ago, I've known for 2 weeks that Brian Dable was supposed to be going to Miami. I've known for 2 weeks. I posted it on Twitter a week ago. You know what I'm saying? So, we got my man Jameis 1of1. I'm gonna read my man Peyton Manning super chat, and then when we done with Peyton Manning super chat, we're gonna bring in Jameis 1of1. Shout out to my boy Peyton Manning. He says Brian Dable about to go to Miami because they probably got more Golden Corrals, Cheesecake Factories, and Olive Gardens in Florida. We good, fat boy. Yeah, we don't need that fat boy Brian Dable, bro. I told y'all he looked like Paul Bunyan, bro. He do. He looked like Freddie Kitchens, man. I don't want nobody who looked like Freddie Kitchens. Keep Brian Dable as far away from the Giants as possible. I told y'all that. All the restaurants in New York City, man, he might eat his way out of town before training camp. We ain't got time, man. Now, without further ado, I want to bring in Jameis 1of1, and we're going to get to the show. Jameis, you hear me, baby?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, Jameis.
Is it working now?
I hear you loud and clear.
Good. I'm not very tech savvy. I had a friend check it out for me, and I had to switch computers. I don't know what's wrong with the other one, but I couldn't get the mic working.
Hey, yeah, man. Look, I ain't the most tech savvy person in the world either. I just know how to get what I do to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I use it, I can get it to work. Don't call me about the cable. Don't call me about the internet. You know what I'm saying? If your computer got a blue screen on it, don't call me. But if it's something I use on a regular, I figured it out. So I kind of gave a brief introduction to who you are. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I ain't fumble none of your accolades, but if you don't mind, go ahead and let the Fisk unit know who we rocking with today.
Okay. So yeah, I'm the anonymous author of a book about Jameis Winston derangement syndrome, how media bias causes us to overlook the start of a Hall of Fame NFL career. I've been on Barstool Sports a lot. I've been interviewed by a bunch of different ESPN radio stations. On Twitter, that's really the only social media I do. I think one of my guys set up an Instagram account a while ago, but I've never posted on there. I don't use it. But people that follow me on Twitter know that I love to debate. And nobody ever has anything for me, ever. All the media guys know me. They know what I do. They know who I am. And now they don't really even try to debate with me. I got the first show I did. One of the first shows I did, it was on a mainstream media show in Tampa. And their producer got a hold of me. And he said, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Jameis. I'm a big fan of your book, blah, blah, blah. Come on the show. We'd love to have you. And I'm overseas. I'm not in the States at all, so I didn't even know this show. And I got on there, and the producer hates Jameis. The radio host hates Jameis. The whole thing was a setup, and they just started like firing all these different questions at me, going into all the off-field stuff like that. And but I shut them down. I wrecked them. And by the end of the interview, they were big fans. They were like, "Oh, you made us look at things totally differently now. We like Jameis. We like you. You can come back anytime." And so I'm used to all that kind of stuff. And people that follow me on Twitter, you can do advanced searches and stuff like that to go through my debates, whether it's with the media or just trolls and people like that. But I have a lot of fun.
I be having a lot of fun too. Like I said, a little backstory, y'all. So as y'all know, and while I'm giving this backstory, throw those FUs in the chat, hit that like button. Y'all know the drill. You know what I'm saying? Now I know how teachers feel. I feel like a teacher. I come into class, I'm like, yo, raise your hand. I'm taking attendance. Like, what you doing? You come into the chat, you throw them FUs up, you hit the like button. Y'all been through elementary school, you've been through high school, you punch clocks at work, you know how this go. But anyway, the backstory is this. Jameis and I were actually supposed to do a show at the beginning of the season once Jameis had been named the starter in New Orleans. But it never materialized. I kind of got caught up, had some things going on. It never materialized. Fast forward 19 weeks later, I'm having a meltdown on Twitter. All right, we all know how I felt about the 13-second loss in Buffalo. I'm thinking the Giants can get this show on a whole bunch of stuff. All right. And Jameis started talking spicy on one of my comments. I said something about Daniel Jones, and you know what I'm saying? Here comes Jameis talking about Jameis Winston going to be your starter next year, whatever. And I'm like, nah, we ain't doing that. And a little Twitter beef ensued. I invited him on the show, and here he is. You know what I'm saying? Because Big Fish don't back down. Jameis got a rep. I got a rep, so we need to hash this out. So I'm going to get straight to the point.
Okay, hold on real quick, though. Just refer to me as 1of1 so people don't think you're talking to Jameis Winston himself. I'm just the author of the book on Jameis.
Okay, so Mr. 1of1. Okay, it's kind of a dope name, like when you just say, Mr. 1of1. That's actually kind of a good name. So I need to know from you directly, why on God's green earth do you think Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones?
Are we really doing that?
Oh, we really doing that.
I mean, that's like let's have a debate about Rick Meyer and Drew Bledsoe. I mean, come on. We're not serious, right?
Oh no, I'm dead serious.
Well, I mean,
serious can be.
There's not really a comparison. I mean, I actually, if you go through, you can probably do some advanced searches too on me talking about Daniel Jones. I've talked with a few guys a lot, like in DMs about it. I've actually defended Daniel. I don't think he's the issue in New York. I don't think he's the reason that the team is bad, anything like that. He's proven a few different times. He's shown that he has enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I'm not down on Daniel Jones. And I think he gets a bad rap. I think, he's kind of looked at as, like a bum, and he's not. He can play, and he's proven that on multiple occasions. But there's no comparison. Like I said, we might as well be talking Rick Meyer and Drew Bledsoe. There's no comparison between Daniel Jones and Jameis on any level. Not on high school, not in college, not in the pros. Like that's a silly debate to have.
I don't see why, because here's the thing. You're an analytics guy. You got all the numbers. I'm not even going to fight you on that. I'm going to fight you on the facts. And the fact of the matter is, I've watched these two go head-to-head twice. And Daniel Jones runs laps around Jameis. Watched her go head-to-head twice. Daniel Jones he's been the better quarterback both games. Both. Once in Tampa, once in New Orleans. The film don't lie. Like my man Robert De Niro said at Casino, the eye in the sky don't lie. We all saw Jameis versus Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is 2-0 versus Jameis. Big time numbers. Two of his greatest games have come against Jameis. And Jameis has had the better roster each and every single time. Explain that.
Okay, so my first question is, are you a fan of Stephen A. Smith?
50-50.
Okay.
50-50.
Because you sound like him right now. And the reason I'm saying that is I don't mean to be insulting, but only low football IQ, abject morons talk about quarterbacks as if they were boxers. They don't play one-on-one. Daniel Jones has never beaten Jameis Winston. They don't play against each other. They play against the opposing defenses. Quarterbacks are not boxers. It's a team game. Like everybody in the media, I'm not just attacking you, but everybody in the media that uses wins and losses, team achievements as the basis to evaluate quarterback play is an idiot. Like that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, to talk about quarterbacks as boxers and pretend that they play one-on-one against each other and that wins and losses matter. I mean, you're like look at Mark Sanchez, right?
Okay.
The debate, Mark Sanchez and Matt Stafford came into the NFL the same year, right? For multiple years when they started their careers, there was a group of people who literally thought Mark Sanchez was better and talked about how he was better and Matt Stafford was a bum and man, the Lions should have went with Sanchez, et cetera, all based on the fact that Mark Sanchez got to multiple AFC title games. Mark Sanchez was always a bum compared to Matthew Stafford. Always. There was never a debate of who the better individual quarterback was. Ever. Same thing with Rick Meyer and Drew Bledsoe. That debate actually happened. I don't know your age. I don't know how old you are or how far you go back. But I remember having debates about Rick Meyer and Drew Bledsoe and telling people Rick Meyer is a gimmick. He's a little bit more athletic. He can run a little bit better. He's a gimmick quarterback. He's not going to last. And they're like, well, he wins. He's a winner. That's not a thing, man. Teams win, not quarterbacks, teams. Mark Sanchez has more playoff wins than some guys that are in the Hall of Fame. Mark Sanchez has to buy a ticket to get in the Hall of Fame like I do. Steve Grogan has a better win percentage than multiple Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Steve Grogan's got to buy a ticket to get in the Hall of Fame like I do. So, I mean, and also like going back to those games that you mentioned, I know the games you're talking about. Firstly, the one in Tampa, Jameis played fantastic. He played fantastic in that game. Like you're making it sound like Daniel Jones had a better individual game. Jameis played fantastic in that game. And Jameis came up extremely clutch in that game, threw a bomb to Mike Evans, ran down the field, got everybody huddled, spiked the ball, and the Bucs had like a 38-yard field goal or something to win it. What did Bruce Arians do? He literally took a penalty to back his own kicker up 5 yards. After the game, the media asked him, why'd you do that? And he said, well, I thought Matt Gay would kick better from further away. Like, what? And they lost. So, I mean, even like that game was a little strange. Then you go to this year's game, the Saints and the Giants. Jameis, once again, he played perfectly fine. He played a good game. It wasn't him that threw the pick that helped New York get back in it. Who threw the pick? Taysom Hill.
That would be Taysom Hill, yeah.
Right. I mean, Jameis threw a bomb for a touchdown that would have ended that game. It would have put the Saints up big late third, early fourth quarter. That would have ended the game. And Jameis had already played good to that point. Threw a bomb for a touchdown, and there was a holding on Adam Troutman that really had nothing to do with the play. But And then Sean Payton got a little tricky, brought Taysom Hill in, and Taysom Hill throws a pick. I mean, so just looking at the individual play, the eye in the sky thing, Jameis jumps off the tape. Daniel Jones doesn't. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, just go look at career highlights.
And jump off the tape? So 400
No,
yards
I'm saying like full career highlights. Just go look up the highlights. One guy jumps off the screen. One guy's got a couple of good games.
Hold on. Daniel Jones' 90-yard runs don't jump off the screen?
The one where he's falling down?
Could Jameis ever hit that run? No.
It was a wide open field. Again, I'm not killing Daniel Jones, but if we're going to use team wins and losses, we can make cases for Steve Grogan and Mark Sanchez and all these garbage quarterbacks.
I let 1of1 try Jedi mind trick y'all. Let me ask you a question. Chat, do we or do we not keep scoring games? That's all I want to know. Put a T in the chat for true. Put an F in the chat for no. Do we or do we not keep scoring these games? Last time I checked, Tom Brady is labeled the GOAT because he wins. You can't tell me Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers on talent, better than Mahomes on talent, better than Peyton Manning on talent. You know what Tom Brady does that they don't? He wins when it matters the most. You keep scoring sports for a reason. Quarterback wins and losses matter. I'm a Giants fan. Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer because he got 2 Super Bowl rings, not because he was a great player. Eli Manning and great don't go in the same conversation. He was a below 500 quarterback until Daniel Jones hurt his ankle versus Green Bay. If Daniel Jones don't hurt his ankle versus Green Bay, Eli Manning retires below 500. But he has 2 Super Bowl rings. That's why he goes into the Hall of Fame. You're great because you have to win. What's the point of you think Lions fans think Matthew Stafford is great? He didn't win them anything. It's about wins and losses. It's not about, oh my goodness, look at this guy's individual numbers. This ain't baseball. You're not going to win an MVP in football with a losing record. This ain't baseball where you could win the Cy Young and have a losing record, Felix Hernandez. This ain't how this works. In football, it's about, do you get it done? Do you win games? Do you win playoff games? Are you clutching the last 2 minutes of the game? That's what it's about. You can't sit here and tell me it's idiotic, it's stupid to compare quarterbacks' win-loss records. No, it's not. Do you get it done or do you not? And another thing, you said don't compare quarterbacks like they boxers. Everybody in the planet is comparing Josh Allen and Mahomes like they're boxers. That whole game was Josh Allen versus Mahomes. It wasn't about the defense. It was about which quarterback was going to get the ball last and make the most plays. Every sport is a team sport, but it comes down to your playmakers. That's why some players get 150, 200 million and others get $100,000. LeBron gets 45, 50 million a year. Guy come off the bench, you get $1 million. There's a reason why freaking Mahomes makes $45 million and Ryan Tannehill barely getting 30. It's about wins and losses. If Mahomes doesn't have a Super Bowl, he's not great. If Mahomes doesn't get the number 1 seed in the AFC, he doesn't get the MVP. We judge people based on winning. Russell Westbrook is the greatest statistical player I've ever seen in my life, but he's a loser. If I just look at the stats, Russell Westbrook is the greatest point guard that ever lived if I just look at the stats. But the guy can't get out the first round. So don't come on here and tell me that keeping track of wins and losses doesn't outweigh the stats, because they do. You got to produce, Jameis, 1of1. It's a wins and loss business. You can't tell me otherwise.
Okay, so, I mean, that was a lot of talking there. But just so you know, I could have jumped in and refuted every single point you made. All of them. Everything you said was false. Every single bit of it.
Tom Brady.
For example, you're talking about payments. You're talking about contracts. Let's compare Deshaun Watson's contract with Ryan Tannehill's. Who's making more? Deshaun Watson has never won nothing. Deshaun Watson has added 1 win. And I think he's got 56 career starts. He's got 1 extra win than the 56 starts before him in Houston. And who are those quarterbacks? Ryan Mallett, Brock Osweiler, Brandon Whedon, TJ Yates, absolute bums. Deshaun Watson has added 1 win to his team over the starts that he's made compared to those guys. 1. But he's got a mega contract. Ryan Tannehill has made deep playoff runs, and he gets paid way less.
None of my
GMs aren't stupid. GMs. No, I'm talking about in Tennessee. That's when he got paid. He got paid in Tennessee off a playoff run. He got paid basically for handing the ball to Derrick Henry.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about his first 56 career starts. I'm like, you're smoking. Because I lived in Miami his first 5-6 years.
I'm talking about Deshaun's. Right. I'm only talking about Deshaun's
Deshaun is a
first
better
starts.
quarterback than Tannehill first 56 starts. I don't even think Deshaun has 56. Does he even have 56 starts? Because he missed his first year.
Yeah, it's something like that. I put a tweet out about it. I don't have everything. I don't have everything in front of me, but I put a tweet out about it. He's added one win. But my point is, Deshaun has a bigger contract than Tannehill right now. Tannehill has the more recent playoff success and a much better win-loss record than Deshaun in Tennessee when he got paid by Tennessee. GMs aren't stupid. GMs don't look at wins and losses on a quarterback record and say, well, let's see who wins. Did Blake Bortles get a big contract after he went to the AFC title game? No.
Yeah.
And here's another one. Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. He actually played decent. I mean, he's still kind of a bum quarterback, but he played decent. He won a Super Bowl. That very offseason, his team dumped him. Why? So they could go sign Elvis Gerbach. Because Elvis Gerbach he was a better individual talent. He was a better individual quarterback. They dumped a Super Bowl winner instantly, immediately, to upgrade with a guy who was a loser compared to that Super Bowl winner. GMs value talent. They don't look at wins and losses. That's like something little kids do. They look at wins and losses.
Huh.
Like literally everything that you said is wrong. Everything.
So why was Jameis
and you can apply it all the way. You can apply it all the way into the draft too, right? Why was Josh Allen drafted so high? Because of his talent. The dude was a total loser in college. They never won anything. He played bad in the big games, but everybody knew he had talent. Why was Tim Tebow, Colt McCoy, Colt Brennan, some of these guys that had great college records, why were they drafted lower? Some of them drafted 5th, 6th, 7th round, even though they had great win-loss records. Because win-loss records don't mean anything when you're evaluating individual quarterbacks. In your mind, is Trent Dilfer better than Warren Moon? Trent Dilfer has a ring. Warren Moon never even got to a Super Bowl.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. We're not. That's like saying Eli Manning is better than Drew Brees because he got more rings. No, we're not doing that. No, there's context to everything.
But that is your argument.
No, that's not my argument. My argument is getting it done matters. In every sport, winning matters. You can't tell me wins and losses.
Well, then why isn't Trent Dilfer better than Warren Moon? Then why isn't Trent Dilfer better? He got it done. Warren Moon didn't.
Warren Moon, hold on, time out. Trent Dilfer handed the ball to Jamal Lewis. He had the greatest defense of all time. It wasn't
but
his
he got a ring.
Good. Okay, so how about this? Let's stick to the topic. You just told me GMs don't look at wins and losses. Why is Jameis Winston get dumped for Tom Brady then? That's your boy, right? Why did Jameis Winston get dumped for Tom Brady if wins and losses don't matter?
Are you pretending that Tom sucks outside of team success? He doesn't.
No, but what I'm saying is that season Jameis had a better year than Brady. If we're gonna throw out win-loss records, didn't Jameis lead the league in passing yards and touchdowns in 2019? What was it, 32 and 50 something hundred? So if wins and losses don't matter, how come they dump a 26-year-old to go for a 43-year-old if wins and losses don't matter?
Because you just said he's the GOAT.
No, yeah, because
you just said he's the GOAT.
Because he wins. If Tom Brady didn't have any rings, he wouldn't be the GOAT. Why is people down on Aaron Rodgers right now, 1of1? Why are people down on Aaron Rodgers, 1of1?
Hold on. That's an entirely different debate, though. I agree. The GOAT, there's two debates in my mind, and the media doesn't have them. The media always has a GOAT debate, but there has to be two debates. There has to be a GOAT debate. There has to be a BOAT debate. Greatest of all time, best of all time, and you have to differentiate. You have to differentiate between the two. And so when I have debates with people, a GOAT debate, a greatest of all time debate, it has to factor in complete resume, including, all accolades, all team success. A BOAT debate, you can focus on more of a subjective debate based on eye test, things of that nature. So there's a lot of people that would put Aaron Rodgers ahead of Brady in a BOAT debate. They would say Rodgers is better. Nobody's going to put Rodgers ahead of Brady in a GOAT debate because Brady has all the team success on top of some of the individual accolades. He's a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time MVP. So you're asking, why did they dump Jameis for Brady? Well, Jameis doesn't have an MVP yet. He doesn't have a first-team All-Pro. Brady's got 3 of each. So Brady is not just a team guy. He's got more team success than anybody in, modern football history, anybody in the Super Bowl era. But he also is an elite individual player. He's not some bum that just got rings.
Okay, see, this is where I get confused. Tom Brady plays the same position as Aaron Rodgers, right? He plays the same position as Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and all these guys, right? That's what, right? Can we agree on that? They play the same
Right.
position, right?
Yeah.
Their job is to complete the ball, right? Are you with me on this, right?
Well, yeah, that's one of the jobs, sure.
Okay, so my question to everybody who wants to separate the best and the GOAT is, how come Tom Brady balls seem to be more accurate when they matter than the rest of these dudes? How can you, if you're so much more better than Tom Brady, if you have so much more gifted ability than Tom Brady, how come his balls seem to find players in the last 5 minutes of games and yours don't? I watched Aaron Rodgers throw a duck in between double coverage to Devontae Adams instead of hitting a wide open Lazard on Saturday. And then I watched Tom Brady find a way with under 2 minutes to go, with under 4 minutes to go, overcome a 13-point deficit. So you can't tell me Tom Brady is not better than Aaron Rodgers, is not better than Mahomes, when for some strange reason their job is to complete balls. Their job is to win games. He does that better than them. Oh, so because one guy can throw sidearm or one guy can throw on the run, that makes him better than Brady. Brady don't gotta run the ball to complete the pass. He don't gotta throw a sidearm. He gonna get it there when it matters, though. So just because one person is more flashy, that don't make them better. It just doesn't. It don't. Like, you can't tell me there's a difference between the best and the GOAT. If you're the best, you should be better than the guy winning. Period. You think, why hasn't Belichick won without Brady? Somebody explain that to me. Everybody wants to sit here and say, oh, Brady's had the most team success. Belichick ain't won a damn thing without him. Tom Brady went to Jameis Winston's sorry ass 7-9 Bucks and got them to a Super Bowl. I will give my YouTube check to anybody who can make a valid argument that Jameis Winston would have won that Super Bowl last year. I'll wait. I'll give my entire YouTube check to somebody who can make a valid argument that Jameis Winston would have beat Breeze, Rodgers, and Mahomes in back-to-back weeks and win a Super Bowl. I'll sit here all day and wait for somebody to tell me that.
Okay, so one, you can read the article I wrote for Sports Illustrated that goes into that exactly, because Brady absolutely did not take Jameis's team to a Super Bowl. Nobody on Jameis's entire team in 2019 scored in that Super Bowl. Nobody, not a single point, not even the kicker. Not one person that played with Jameis in 2019 scored a single point in the Super Bowl. Those were all new additions for Brady. I also break down the full yardage breakdown. All new additions combined for a huge percentage of the Bucs' yards. Brady brought Gronk with him. He brought AB with him. They got Antoine Winfield Jr. in the draft and Tristan Wirfs. Both of them were like almost instant all-pros. Like, he did not take Jameis Winston's 7-9 team to a Super Bowl. That's absurd. And if you put that on say, another level, like, for example, a college level, Peyton Manning spent 4 years at Tennessee. He could never even beat Florida in his own conference, ever. Like, they didn't have a shot at a national title. He couldn't even beat Florida. The very year he left, T. Martin replaced him at quarterback. Who? Exactly. A nobody. And the Tennessee Volunteers went undefeated and won the national title. Was that because T. Martin was some massive upgrade on Peyton Manning? Of course not. Of course not. You can't use team wins and team losses as an individual quarterback stat. It's insane. And as far as like all the stuff you're saying about Brady, again, he is good individually. He isn't just the team success guy. Like, there are some people like that. For example, you look at the NBA, you got Robert Horry, right? Robert Horry has more rings than Michael Jordan. Does anybody say Robert Horry's the GOAT or Jordan's a loser compared to Robert Horry? They played in the exact same era. Why does Robert Horry have more rings than Michael Jordan? And he never even played with Jordan. So it isn't like he got a couple rings, riding Michael's coattails like, say, Steve Kerr or even Dennis Rodman did. Or he got all of his rings outside of playing with Jordan, and he's got more of them.
Coming off the bench, sure, he was a bench player. Those were Hakeem Olajuwon teams. Those was Tim Duncan teams. Horby came off the bench and hit a shot the last minute of a couple games. Like, he's a bench player. Like, I mean, Jordan probably played more minutes his first.
No, not exactly. He wasn't a scrub.
I didn't say he was a scrub.
He was a bench player. Not exactly. He wasn't a.
He's a role player.
He started in. He started in Houston. He hit a huge shot that the Lakers would not have won a title without his shot. There was actually two of them. Like, he wasn't a bum. But my point is, evaluating individual players by team win losses is crazy. It's crazy on the
So
NFL
every
level. It's crazy
MVP
on
is
the college
irrelevant.
level.
So every MVP has been irrelevant then, because the best player on the best player on the best team gets the award in every sport, unless it's baseball. Baseball is the only
Well,
sport that doesn't care about wins or losses. It's the only
that's
one.
not true. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has an MVP, and he didn't even have a winning record.
Well, yeah.
Do you know that there was an
Yeah, you know
NFL
what?
there was an
Yeah,
NFL
back
MVP
then.
award given to a kicker? Did you know that? A kicker won the NFL
Okay,
MVP award once?
well, you know what? That's okay. Jerry West was MVP of a losing team. There's outliers for everything. There's outliers for everything. You know what I'm saying? Jerry West got MVP on a losing team for the Lakers. Losing finals MVP of a losing team. So there's outliers for everything. But LeBron James, like I said, LeBron James was the best player on the floor. All those finals that he lost, they found a way to give Andre Iguodala coming off the bench finals MVP, because you can't give it to the loser. We keep score for a reason. I can't believe you're saying wins and losses don't matter. We
Okay,
keep score for a reason, bro.
right, but you're actually proving my point, right? You just I think you agree with me. Andre Iguodala was not the MVP of that series. He was
No,
a
Steph Curry
bum
was.
compared to LeBron in that series.
Steph Curry
Everybody
should have
was a
been. It was,
bum
yeah.
compared to LeBron in that series. LeBron James was obviously the most valuable player on the court in that series. It wasn't remotely close. But the media has made it the thing where let's give the best player on the best team. Let's trump up wins and losses as this ultimate definer of individual talent. And I'm not just insulting you, but people like you and everybody else almost just buys that. They just gobble that up. It's insane. It's like literally insane to judge individual players based on team success.
So how do we
Just think of it.
separate that?
Listen, man. Let me just put it like really, really simply, right? You got five people. We'll do this like in basketball terms. You got five people, you and four of your family members, against five other people. You know, your best friend and four of his family members, and y'all are in a hot dog eating contest. All five of the other team, those family members, they each eat 5 hot dogs each. How many is that? It's 25. All of your family members, you got 4 of them, they each eat 3 hot dogs each. You eat 12 hot dogs. Who was the best hot dog eater? You. Which family won? The other one, 25 to 24. Like, you can't get any more simple than that. That's like a really, really easy breakdown for, like, you know, a first or second or third grader to comprehend that the media's spinning team success as, you know, the litmus test for individual talent evaluation is utterly insane.
Okay, so basically, so let me ask you a question, right? I need a solid answer. How do we separate Tim Duncan from Shaq then? How do we do that?
Okay,
How do we separate
that's a good
Kobe
one.
Bryant from Magic Johnson? I want to
Right,
know.
that's a good one. And now we're in basketball, and football is a little bit different. You got a 5-man starting lineup instead of, like, say 24
We ain't
dudes.
keep it in football. How about this? We'll keep it in football. How do we
Okay.
separate? If winning doesn't matter, then how do we separate Peyton Manning from Big Ben? How do we separate? I don't know, Joe
That's a good one.
Montana from Terry Bradshaw. How do we separate them?
Right, that's a good one. I like that. For what was the second one? Do you say Montana and Bradshaw?
Yeah, because they both got 4.
Okay.
I can't. Brady is so far out there. I can't even compare anybody to Brady. He's so ahead of the laps. How do we do?
Okay, well, because you're such a Brady guy, let me real quick. Let me do Brady.
No, hold on, pause. Before you do that, we gotta take a quick intermission. I have to read these super chats. And by the way, I'm not a Brady guy. I'm just trying to make a point.
Okay.
Shout out to Peyton Manning with Wills. Thank you, Fisk. You brought me on someone with common sense. Daniel Jones is a future backup in this league. Finally, a realist. Peyton, he's our quarterback next year. Live with it, okay? Just stop crying about it. John Mara basically came out there and said we failed this kid and we're giving him another year through hella high water. So, yeah, Daniel Jones is back. He's back on top. Hate it or love it. Shout out to Mike Rosen. According to Chat Sports, the Texans interviewed Brian Flores, Hines Ward, Joe Lombardi, and Josh McCown for head coaches. What are your thoughts? My thoughts is they're doing a more thorough head coaching job than the Giants are. the Giants wanted Brian Dable so bad, and they're just doing all these other interviews for to save face. But if Brian Dable takes all that money from the Dolphins, I would love to see the Giants try and get Byron Leftwich a job. He made Jameis look good. That offense with Brady looked pretty good. Let's see what he can do. It bothers me that everybody wants to give Brian Dable credit for Josh Allen, but nobody talks about Bieniemy and Watson. Nobody talks about what Byron Leftwich did with Jameis and Tom Brady. There's other offensive coordinators out there other than Brian Dable. Shout out to Dr. Umar. What's your opinions of Malik Willis, Jameis?
Oh, you want me to answer that?
Yeah, that's for you. He asked that to you.
Yeah, he's a talented kid. I've watched him a little bit. He's a talented kid. I think he's really raw. I would say he probably, out of all the quarterbacks coming into this draft, has the most raw talent. However, the emphasis is on the word raw because he's also probably the most raw. So I think he could be by far the best of the bunch if he's put in the right situation. I always tell people situation is far more important than talent in the NFL. That is why you've got a guy like Brady, who was a 6th round talent, and a guy who was benched in college for a baseball player named Drew Henson, and who never even got off the bench in New England until Drew Bledsoe, who of course is not a Hall of Famer, got injured. That's how you get a situation like that where Brady becomes, as Fisk is saying, the GOAT. He's not my GOAT, by the way, but Fisk is saying the GOAT
either, but
because situation is more important than talent. You can take a talented player, put him in a bad situation, he's going to fail. 99 times out of 100. You can take a marginal talent, put him in a great situation, he's going to succeed. Probably 70 times out of 100. So talent matters, but not more than anything.
Shout out to Where You Hiding. I hope Patrick's girl get Kamara. I hope Patrick's girl get karma on her and the entire Kansas City squad for the drink poured on the fans. She cannot defend what she said. Oh yeah, that arrogant thing about people who don't understand, people who have never won anything have a problem with me pouring champagne. Yeah, I hate her. She's cute, but I can't stand her. Especially, what's his name, Jackson Mahomes, dancing on Sean Taylor. Nah, I can't stand. I can't stand him. Patrick Mahomes is a cool dude, a little overrated, but he's a cool dude. But his wife and his little brother are the most annoying little. They're just like pests. They're like gnats. It's like they make him uncool. It's like, I can't even explain it. All right, that ain't important. All right, shout out to Hakeem Delph. Hakeem Delph says he needs to be on stream more. Great debate. So a couple of them like you. You know what I'm saying? Couple of the Fisk unit like you right now. You're doing something right. Even though this debate makes no sense to me, you're doing something right. All right. So we have caught up with the super chats. Now, how are we ending this win losses versus talent debate? What are we agreeing and disagreeing on right now? 1of1. What are we doing?
Okay, I mean, honestly, for the sake of your audience, for the sake of your own reputation, you need to agree with me 100%. You just need to, or you're going to look like an illogical lunatic.
Not really, because at the end of the day, you're trying to tell me that wins and losses don't matter. So, like, how do we?
I'm trying to tell you that team success, wins and losses, is meaningless in individual talent evaluation. You can't judge an individual player based on team success. And the little analogy I gave you with the hot dog eating contest is perfect. I mean, you ate 12 hot dogs compared to everybody else who was only eating 3, 4, 5. You're obviously the best, and yet your team lost. It's the same thing with LeBron in that finals. He was obviously the best player. His team lost. Right? So, and this happens every year in every sport. It very well could happen this year. I mean, we could end up seeing the 49ers win the Super Bowl. Is anybody in their right mind going to say Jimmy G was the best quarterback in the playoffs? No, he was maybe the worst. But I mean, this kind of thing happens in sports all the time. And
but we're not debating Jimmy G though. We're debating the heavyweight stuff. We're talking.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying the reason that this is such a debate, I guess, is because the media is lazy. They don't want to dig into legitimate data. They don't want to do a deep dive into any statistics. They don't have the time for that. They don't have the mental aptitude for that. They don't know what they're doing. Most of them don't know how to debate, let alone actually understand statistics. So
what
they
you're
focus
saying,
on narratives, and they focus on easy stories to tell. Like, for example, you were talking about Brady and you said, how come it seems that his passes are more accurate with the game on the line? That's a subjective opinion. That's not objective data. So that's a narrative. It isn't a factual data point. It's a narrative. So I would say Brady, if you could isolate one game out of his entire career and say, what one game kind of built the Brady myth the biggest, right? For Jordan, it was probably the flu game and him hitting the game winner. But what one game built the Brady myth? It's him coming back from 28-3 down against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. Like, that is, if anybody were to just point one game, they're like, that's Tom Brady. In that game, Tom Brady threw a pick six to help put his team into the hole. And in the big comeback, coming back from 28-3 down, Tom Brady threw another ball right to Atlanta. That would have ended the game. The game would have been over and Matt Ryan would have a ring now and Brady wouldn't. He threw the ball right to Atlanta, Robert Alford. It bounces off Alford's hands into the air, and Julian Edelman makes a miraculous diving catch. So,
right, look.
And the media just pretends that never happened. They just say, dude, Juice Brady, 28-3 down, so clutch. He wasn't clutch. He threw a ball directly to the Falcons.
This is getting out of hand. All right, bottom line. So by Jameis, by 1of1. All right, so check this out. Because I'm petty. I can't help it. I'm a petty person. So we're going to use 1of1 logic. I'm actually going to quote him a lot going forward because now I got to transition into my Laker content. So by 1of1's logic that wins and losses, that winning is fucking irrelevant. Russell Westbrook is the greatest point guard of all time. We're not having this debate no more. The greatest statistical point guard of all time is Russell Westbrook. Steph Curry, 3 rings don't matter. James Harden, by his logic, Harden and Russell Westbrook are better than Curry. That's where we're going with this. Hey, yo, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, since he's the greatest thrower of football ever, he's better than Tom Brady because winning does not matter. By 1of1's logic, winning don't matter. It's all about who's the individually best player. So we're going to take his logic. Tom Brady, your rings don't matter because you're a lucky motherfucker. Aaron Rodgers is better than you. Hey, Westbrook or Westbrook, whatever you are, you're better than Curry. Who cares about those championships that Curry got? That's what we doing. Hey, Karl Malone, bro, forget about Tim Duncan. We know Karl Malone better than Duncan, bro. Yeah, man, the mailman scored more points than Duncan. He got more rebounds than Duncan. He got to be better than Duncan. Hey, Duncan, your 5 rings don't matter. I'm going to do you one better. You know who has a better statistical reputation than Kobe? That would be one James Harden. Go look at the numbers. Kobe ain't never put up numbers like James Harden outside of the scoring. Hey, James Harden, who can't get past the second round without choking like a top 10 porn star, you're better than Kobe because your numbers and analytics are better. We've officially gone on my channel. I never thought I'd see the day where somebody on my channel will come and make a logical argument about losers. Hey, by the way, Clayton Kershaw, guy who fumbles in every playoff series, you're better than Madison Bumgarner because analytically you're a better pitcher. Hey, Felix Hernandez, Jacob deGrom, y'all can go 500 and win Cy Youngs, and we're gonna ignore the Max Scherzers and shit like that who win 20 games because winning doesn't matter. Hell, we're gonna take the scoreboard off the damn game because winning doesn't matter. We're gonna take Jameis 1of1's approach, and we're gonna study your ball trajectories and shit, and your analytical stat sheet at the end. Oh, you want to have a QBR debate next? I mean, that's where we're going with this because winning doesn't matter. I don't know why we keep score, bro. Why we even keep a score, yo? Everybody get a cookie. Why we keep a score? Everybody get a cookie. I'm just saying. I mean, yo, you know what, Jameis? I'm so happy you came on my channel tonight, bro. There's no such thing as context with him. There's no such thing. Russell Westbrook is the best point guard ever because winning doesn't matter. I'm so happy you came on here. I mean, Tom Brady, I don't give a fuck about your 7 rings, bro. Winning doesn't matter. You're lucky. Your team won those rings, Tom. You were down 25 points, and it was a team effort that you came back, bro. I've been enlightened by you, Jameis. Oh, you're so smart, bro. I mean, bro, you're like, round of applause, man.
Bro, your own audience doesn't agree with you. I'm reading the chats. They don't agree with you. They understand what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is purely logical, and it's also mathematically sound. What you're saying is subjective, emotional
now it's
narratives.
Right now it's subjective. So when's it? So when Jameis Winston,
dude, read your chats. Fisk, stop being emotional, bro. The next one, Fisk is wrong. Keep going and going. They all know what I'm saying.
Check this out, Jameis.
Is logically true.
When I tell them Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback that ever lived, they say 7 rings to 2. When I say Westbrook is better than Curry, they say 3 rings to none. When I say LeBron is better than Jordan, they say 6 for 6. I can't get past the 6 for 6 debate. LeBron is better than Jordan in every fucking statistical category except for free throws. And everybody says 6 for 6. So now all of a sudden, some guy comes on my channel and gives you a bunch of analytical bubblegum bullshit, and now 6 for 6 don't matter. I've been saying LeBron is better than Jordan for 5 years on YouTube, and I've been called a clown. But now all of a sudden, 6 for 6 don't matter. Tom Brady's 7 rings don't matter because he comes on here speaking some analytical bullshit. Fuck all y'all. Y'all will be back tomorrow, and I'm gonna say fuck all y'all again because it's the fucking truth. When the next y'all slurping him now, right? Y'all are slurping Jameis 1of1 now. But the minute I put a LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan video out, the first comment gonna say 6 for 6. The minute I say Peyton Manning better than Tom Brady, the first comment gonna say 7 to 2. Period. So
okay,
y'all
bro,
can
listen.
him all you want to, but it's the facts.
Listen, I do what I do, and this happens in every debate I'm in, right? The audience is with me because what I say is logical and it's mathematically sound. But I really don't understand why you're taking the side you're taking if you also do take LeBron and the Jordan debate. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
No, because we're having a debate. I don't give a fuck if I'm right. I don't give a fuck who's right or wrong. We're having a debate. I'm giving the people what they want to. I don't give a damn. We're giving the people what they want, bro.
So you're just kind of playing devil's advocate.
Basically.
Okay, well then I won.
Basically.
Okay.
Basically, I mean, I'm doing devil's advocate. I mean, there has to be context and everything, but at the end of the day, I do value winning. Winning has to take some context. Like, I don't think it's the end all be all, but I'm just playing devil's advocate for you because you're here to debate me. If I agree with you, that doesn't make a good show.
Okay, so for example, like you brought up, you said, how do we decide between Peyton Manning and Big Ben? Right? They both have 2 rings. Right. So at that point, if you want to say that rings are sort of like the litmus test, that they're sort of the top factor, you can do that. I mean, I wouldn't agree with that. I think that's asinine, but people can do that. But so when you look at Peyton and Big Ben, they each have 2 rings. Ben doesn't have a single MVP.
Nope.
Right. He doesn't have a single first team All-Pro. And when you look at the stats, especially, even whether you error adjust them or whether you just look at them strictly based off league rankings or even just based off counting numbers, Peyton blows him away.
Agreed.
So there really isn't a comparison between Ben and Peyton other than the rings. So if you have somebody that says, well, I just value rings, and they create a GOAT list, that person is going to be forced to rank Peyton and Ben on the exact same level because they both have 2 rings. But of course, if you do a deeper dive, if you actually look at their careers, you look at the stats, you look at the analytics, et cetera, Peyton blows him away. It's not remotely close.
He blows Brady away.
So all I'm saying is that if you want to, in a GOAT debate, you should factor in team success. That should be a factor. I don't really think that should be a factor in a BOAT debate because you're just looking at who's better. So one of the easiest things to do is look at, say, like running backs, right? If you're looking at a running back list, almost everybody with a functioning brain is going to have Barry Sanders near the top. Barry Sanders never won anything, right? Barry Sanders was on the worst organization that's maybe ever been created in the history of American professional sports, the Detroit Lions, and he never won anything. But everybody's going to put Barry Sanders near the top of their BOAT or their GOAT running back list. Now, maybe somebody will have him below Jim Brown. Maybe somebody puts him below Emmett because Emmett's got, multiple rings, but they're all going to have him really high. And they're all going to have a ton of running backs with a ring or even multiple rings below him. Because everybody understands that there's a difference between who's best and who just wins more. or who's on a better situation.
Now here's the deal. I wasn't playing devil's advocate with that. I don't think there's a difference. You know why? I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to think like that. I did. Like 1of1, I really used to think like that. But watching Brady go to Tampa really changed my mind on that, because at some point I'm like, okay, I used to think Aaron Rodgers or some of these guys was better than Brady because Brady's got Belichick and all this other stuff. But I watched the guy go to Tampa and just dominate. At some point, the guy's just freaking good. He's got every record. There's not a record he doesn't own. He's got all the rings. He's beat Mahomes in the playoffs twice. He's beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. At some point, if you're better, you should beat the other guy. That's all I'm saying. Like, I agree with you with the ring thing. I'm just playing devil's advocate because I brought you on here to debate. But LeBron is my GOAT and Peyton's my GOAT. So but what I'm trying to say overall is you need the context. I call Peyton better than Brady because I watched Peyton beat Brady in 3 AFC title games. The best I can do is they were head to head. We're never going to get Jordan versus LeBron because they played in 2 different eras. But when it comes to Peyton and Brady, we watched them go head to head in 4 AFC title games. Peyton won 3, 2 different franchises. When it comes to, basketball, I watched LeBron take the worst teams on the planet to the finals and be competitive. The guy Jordan couldn't win without Pippen and Rodman. Like, he needed a team to get to the finals. LeBron went to the finals on his rookie contract, for crying out loud. He was drafted in 2003. He was in the finals by 2007. He wasn't even on a max deal and took his team to the finals. So I agree with you that winning, but that stats don't, that winning doesn't mean everything. But sometimes winning can mean everything, because LeBron was not statistically better than Carmelo back then. He didn't have the ring that Dwayne Wade had, but we saw what he did to the Pistons in Game 5 2007. We saw this young kid take a trash team to the finals. So you need context. Like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate with you for the debate for the sake of the show. But what I want people to understand is some of y'all are young. Most of my demographic is like 18 to 24. So y'all don't have enough context yet because you're young. But as you get older and you watch these players, you watch them come and go, you got to really appreciate a Tom Brady. You got to appreciate a LeBron. These things don't happen all the time. We're going to get some, like Josh Allen's going to be a stat monster for the next 15 years. Deshaun Watson was a stat monster. Mahomes is going to be a stat monster. But you have to appreciate the guys who actually win. You know how what greatness is, and I'm gonna read the super chat and then I'm gonna give it to Jameis. You know how you measure greatness, chat? When you say the East is the LeBron James Invitational. When you automatically put LeBron in the finals, that's greatness. When Tom Brady is down 27-3 and nobody turns on the TV because you're waiting for the comeback, that's greatness. Like, no other quarterback in football is getting that clout. If any other quarterback's down 27-3, you're turning the channel. But you know what Tom Brady's capable of. That's Brady. So all I'm saying is the stats is cool, but when it matters the most, who get it done? That has to be the tiebreaker in every debate. It just has to be. And shout out to Joseph. You know him. This is one of Jameis guys. I've never heard of Joseph a day in my life. He says, Fisk, Jameis 1of1 owner you on here. He ain't even bringing out the advanced stats. And Jameis has more passing TDs in playoffs than Daniel Jones if you want to use 2-0. Oh, wow. Jameis came in through one little trick pass in the playoffs. Man, please, whatever. Tell Jameis lead his own team to the playoffs. Stop throwing 30 picks and stop getting hurt. Lead a team to the playoffs, and I'll have a valid conversation about Jameis being a true starter in the league. Shout out to Damaged Goods. Great debate, y'all. Great debate, y'all. Y'all two need to have a show together. Yeah, I like Jameis. I like him. So 101, floor is yours. You want to switch debates? You want to talk about the playoffs? What you want to do, baby?
No, I would just say, off of what you said, I think everybody, listening, including you, everybody needs to have, just for their own sort of sanity, a GOAT list and a boat list for whatever you're talking about. Because especially like if you're like me, I'm sort of like a quarterback historian. I mean, I get into massive debates about Otto Graham, right? Otto Graham versus Brady. I've had huge debates with media and with normal people about that. Most people don't know who Otto Graham is. They don't even know that name, right? But Otto Graham, he only played 10 years because he also fought in the war and he came into the NFL late. He was even in the league before the NFL, where it was a competing league, but he came in late. But he only played 10 years. He went to the title game every single season, all of them. He's got 7 first-team All-Pros. Tom Brady has 3 first-team All-Pros in 21 years. Otto had 7 in 10 years. Otto also played defense and was a star cornerback. He was also a really good punt returner. As a cornerback, he picked off a pass in that era's Super Bowl, quote unquote. Right? So in my book, like I'm a quarterback historian, and in my book, Otto Graham is still the GOAT. And if you put his resume up against Brady's, I think Otto's actually blows him away. And even if you look at statistics and you look at era adjusted passer rating, I believe Brady's 18th all time. Otto Graham's number 1, and by a lot. So, I mean, I go way, 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 way back. But what I'm saying is that I just think everybody needs to look at having both a GOAT list and a boat list. Because when you do that, and I'll readily admit, like Otto Graham, he's number 1 on my GOAT list, Brady's 2. But on a boat list, Otto Graham's not in my top 200, right? Because he played in an era that it doesn't even really resemble the modern game. Like if he was a lot, if you just pick him out of his era and stick him in today's NFL, he's not making a roster. And in the same way, Tom Brady, for the people that have him right now as number 1 on their GOAT list, you have to understand, in 50, 60 years from now, if some of these kids are 18 years old, they're still going to be alive. In 50, 60 years from now, the NFL is going to look different. Who knows? They might play 30 games a year. There could be dudes that are 7 foot running a 4.2 40. Like, we don't know, but sports evolves. And so for me, you have to compare a player's resume versus another player's resume, irrespective of eras. And so in the future, even if there's a guy who's obviously bigger, stronger, faster, better, more accurate, everything than Brady, if he doesn't have 7 Super Bowl rings and he doesn't have the 3 MVPs Brady has and the 3 first-team All-Pros that Brady has, he's not going to rank higher on my GOAT list because Brady was more dominant in his era than that guy will be in his era. And so for me, when you look at GOAT debates, you need to measure, complete resume in your era versus another dude's complete resume in his era. But then when you look at a boat list, best of all time, you're simply measuring like talent, eye test, stuff like that. And so
that's where the Dan Marino truthers can actually come out their hole.
They do, because Dan Marino, they would say, there's a lot of people that would say Dan Marino is the best of all time, but nobody would rank him as the greatest of all time because he doesn't have a ring. He doesn't have anything, right? But you do need to have that debate because otherwise, what do you do with certain players? Like, for example, what do you do with Sammy Baugh? I mean, that's another name some people probably have never even heard, but what do you do with a guy like that who couldn't even play in the modern NFL? Yet when you look at his resume, holy cow, he was dominant. He was awesome, right? So he has to rank pretty high in a GOAT debate, but he's not even going to rank in the top 200.
But it's weird that I don't know if your mic completely cut out, but if you can hear me, it's like the conversation we're having. It's okay. Yeah, your mic is cutting out because
debate.
Hello.
So I think everybody out there needs to have. I don't know. I can't hear anything.
Yeah, now your mic was cutting out.
Okay, you can hear me now though.
I hear you now. Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, so go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh no, all I was saying was just like the conversation that we're having right now. I always say, like, what are you gonna do with the Russell Westbrooks and James Hardens? What are you gonna do with guys who aren't gonna get rings, like Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson? They're gonna put up monster numbers. They're not all gonna get rings. So I think we live in an era, because you were talking about Otto Grahams and shit like that. Like, we couldn't even YouTube half the games they play. So what I'm saying is, y'all got to take context. For example, we just watched Aaron Rodgers blow a home game to Jimmy G. 10 years from now, you can't forget that. Like there's gonna be like when you talk about there's gonna be a conversation. Like if Patrick Mahomes, this is the best example I can give you. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't win another Super Bowl, his comp is gonna be Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, the guys who own the great quarterbacks who only got one ring, the underachievers. That's gonna be his comp. So what I'm saying is like we gotta see like Aaron Rodgers laid down a lot. Jimmy G is not better than him. The third year Russell Wilson, whatever, is not better than him. Second and third year Colin Kaepernick's not better than him. Matt Ryan had never a day in his life has been better than Aaron Rodgers, but they beat him when the moment matters the best. And on the flip side, you got Tom Brady, who just goes out there and wins with whatever he has. People act like he needs Mike Evans and all these guys, bro. He's won Super Bowls with Gronk on the IR. He's won Super Bowls throwing to Danny Amendola. So it's like that's the context you got to put these guys in. Peyton Manning, he turned this dude Peyton Manning really sent Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne to the Hall of Fame. If Demaryius Thomas had got another 5 years of prime Peyton, he'd be going to the Hall of Fame. There's little things like that I got to put in the context. That's all I'm saying. Like analytics aside, just look at the big picture sometimes. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to Alan Caleb. Do Herbert versus Burrow. I don't think with Jameis being such an analytic guy, I don't think there's enough data on Herbert and Burrow to have that debate yet.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, coming into the draft, I did an interview. I can't remember who it was with. I want to say it was. Anyways, I did an interview, and people were asking me about Herbert and Burrow. And my comment got a lot of people mad. I got DMs and stuff about it because I said Herbert is quote unquote infinitely more talented than Burrow. And I stick by that. And I think anybody with eyes, I was right. Herbert is more talented. That doesn't mean Herbert will have a better career. But Herbert is more talented. He can make plays and he can make throws that Burrow won't even attempt. But that doesn't mean he's going to have a better career. Dan Marino was more talented than Joe Montana. Montana had the much better career. There's a ton of guys that are more talented than Brady. Brady's had the much better career. So, I would say, with Herbert and Burrow, they're both really young. Just enjoy watching them and let's see what happens. To me, the superstar on Cincinnati is Chase. I think that guy's just insanely elite already. But Burrow's awesome. He's fun to watch. A lot of poise in the pocket, and they're a fun team to root for.
Shout out to Peyton with Wills. Jameis 1of1. Would you move on from Dan Jones going into it's Daniel Jones Peyton's? Be respectful. Would you move on from Daniel Jones going into year 4, considering his neck injury, poor play, and his low ceiling, and pay him big extension? Yo, stop slandering Daniel. Go ahead, James. You take
it. I had a guy. I'm just looking real quick on my DMs because I had a guy ask me that question today. Let me see what I said here. Yeah, he asked me today. He said, "Is this the right decision?" And he was commenting on a tweet from Ari that talked about how they're sticking with Jones. They want to build around him at least for one more year. And I said, if the owners want to give Daniel the full 5 years on his rookie deal, and if they've already told their new GM, we don't want Deshaun Watson and his drama, we can't get Rodgers and Russ as we want to keep the number 5 and number 7 picks, and Jameis won't sign with us, then yes, it makes all the sense in the world. None of the quarterbacks coming into the draft are sure things. Now, some of them could, who knows, they could turn out to be superstars, but none of them are sure things. There's all a risk component there and bust potential. So the Giants have had Daniel for multiple years. They know what they have in him. They've seen him have a few elite games. They've also seen, some bad stuff, but so what? Every quarterback goes through that, especially when you're on a bad team. So I would just say if the Giants are definitely out on Deshaun Watson, which it sounds like they are, and if they know they can't get Rodgers and Russ anyways, and if they know Jameis won't sign with them anyways, which I don't think he would, it makes perfect sense to at least give Daniel the next year. If they bring in Dayball or if they bring in somebody else, give him a year with a new guy. And if he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. I definitely wouldn't give him an extension right now. I'd let him see what it looks like. But Yeah, he's not a bum. I mean, the kid was put in a pretty bad situation,
Horrible
So
situation.
yeah, I don't have a problem with them riding it out for another year, especially if you can't get one of the 4 guys I mentioned.
Everything he said, we taking that with a grain of salt. All right, because if his neck is messed up, I don't want him. I'm Daniel Jones' biggest fan on the planet. All right, I see his potential. I see his ceiling. I think this kid is freaking amazing. Especially when you watch us go from being competitive with Daniel to throwing for negative 11 yards versus the Bears. If that don't make you a Daniel Jones believer, I don't know what will. All right, the fact that he made that garbage offense even remotely competitive is just a miracle by itself. All right, and don't give me that backup quarterback crap because Brett Hundley, Davis Mills, this other backup quarterbacks putting in work. No, that offense was pathetic, but whatever. The point I'm trying to make is Peyton Manning, all that matters is this kid's neck. If the kid's neck is fine, Daniel Jones will be successful. If there's something wrong with his neck that John Mara and them liars in New York are not telling us, we need to move on from him. Now, period. Peyton Manning, my favorite football player of all time, was supposed to play in 2011, and he had a setback. And that setback turned into multiple neck surgeries, and he missed a whole year. I'm not watching another year backup quarterbacks play football. I'm not doing that. And another thing, since you being disrespectful, how you gonna say Daniel Jones has a low ceiling? Do you not see the 5 touchdown games? Did you not see the game versus New Orleans, the 400 yards? You ain't see the game versus Washington week 2. It's not Daniel Jones' fault Evan Ingram can't catch. It ain't Daniel Jones' fault Darius Slayton can't catch. I watched this guy Daniel Jones truck Grady Jarrett to convert for a 2-point conversion to take the lead versus Atlanta, and Adoree Jackson drops an interception. That ain't Daniel Jones' fault. The Giants were fine with Daniel Jones the first month of the season, and then the whole team got hurt. And he still beat the Panthers with a broke team. No offensive line, no wide receivers, no nothing. Daniel Jones been out here turning water into wine for 3 years. It would do my heart some good to see him get a real offensive mind in here, some healthy weapons and a real offensive line. And speaking of doing my heart some good, I like to see that boy number 26, Saquon Barkley, run behind some hog mollies that can block. Saquon ain't had an offensive line yet. So y'all are shitting on these Giants players like they're trash when Dave Gettleman just did a horrible job of putting certain pieces around him. He fixed the defense. The defense is great, but he can never get the line right. You out here slandering Daniel Jones because you don't like him because he came from Duke. All you people out there, all y'all care about is who y'all watch on Saturdays. That's it. Y'all hate Daniel Jones because he came from Duke. Had Daniel Jones came from Alabama or something, y'all shut the hell up. Y'all just hate him because he came from Duke. And he replaced your beloved Eli. Oh, my beloved Eli, who needed Daniel Jones to get hurt to finish 500. That guy. Yeah, I'm the only Giants fan on the planet that has slandered Eli. I'm sorry, Jameis, but at the end of the day, if Eli Manning was so freaking great, we would have went to the playoffs way more times. I'm sorry, the facts are the facts. Shout out to Barth. If Brady and A-Rod retire, who's the NFC's top 5 quarterbacks? Well, number 1 is whoever Watson goes to. Number 2 will be Stafford. 3 will be Russ. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's so bad. I'm gonna put Dak at number 4. And number 5, I'll go with I'll go Kirk Cousins, number 5. What about you, James?
I mean, you left Aaron Rodgers out of the top 5 in the NFC.
No, he said if they retire, if Brady and Rodgers retire, that was.
Okay. I don't see Rodgers retiring, although he might get traded. I would say the same thing about Cousins. Like, this is a perfect time to trade him. I believe it's the last year of his contract. If they want to get something for him, now would be a good time. I don't think people are going to be able to get Russell Wilson anyways, so they could move off him. But yeah, I mean, the NFC and the AFC, there's a massive gap, right, in talent when you're looking at quarterbacks. The AFC is loaded. They're also loaded with the young guys. So the NFC would be wide open. The Saints, like, you look at what the Saints did when Jameis was healthy with no receivers. Like, they destroyed Tampa. twice, and that was even with backups playing when Jameis got hurt. They blew the doors off of Green Bay with Rodgers on a neutral field because the hurricane came through. I know a lot of people think that because Sean Payton retired, it's doom and gloom in NOLA, but I mean, they could keep things almost exactly the same. They could move the defensive coordinator to the head coach. They could move the Chris Richard over to the defensive coordinator. They could keep the OC the same. They bring Jameis back, and I think they're right back in it. And I'm a big Russell Wilson fan, but like I've had a lot of conversations with people about Wilson, and I always maintained I don't think the Saints will even make a legitimate offer for him. You look at what he did this year and what Jameis did this year. Jameis blew him away in QBR, total QBR, raw QBR, EPA per play, adjusted EPA per play. I mean, almost every metric that matters, Jameis blew him away. And Jameis was a first-year starter in that system. Russ has been with Carroll for forever, and Russ had Lockett and DK Metcalf. Jameis had what much of the media considers the worst receiving core in football, right? He also only played 20% of the time on the field at home because of the hurricane and the schedule, the way it lined up. So I wouldn't sleep on the Saints, and I'm being honest. And I'm saying that as somebody who I don't even know if Jameis is going to resign there, right? Because every team in the NFL has more cap space than New Orleans, every single one of them. And so, if Jameis decides to, rebuff their offers and test free agency, Pittsburgh could come strong. Pittsburgh wanted him in 2020 and offered him more than New Orleans did then, and he just turned him down. He went with New Orleans, but Pittsburgh could be strong. If Denver really can't trade for Aaron Rodgers, I would expect them to make an offer. So, yeah, I mean, New Orleans could look totally different next year, or if they run it back and Brady actually retires, I think New Orleans just destroys the NFC South. I think they own it.
So Saints fans, because there's a lot of y'all in the chat wanting to know, wanting the skinny on Jameis. Well, 1of1 just gave it to you, so he might not be going back to New Orleans next year. Pittsburgh, Denver. I wouldn't rule out. Oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. I just drew a big blank. But
well, that's all right. Carolina could be in play.
Yes, that's the team. Okay, yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Right. If they pass on Malik Willis. If the Panthers pass on
Carolina, I wouldn't be surprised to see Carolina be the team that lands Deshaun Watson.
You think he'll win?
He has the
to go there.
He's got the connections. Yeah, I know it's a tough situation, but I mean, if I'm Houston, like I'm not trading him for peanuts. And if New York's out, and New York had the premium picks, right? I mean, they got the number 5 and the number 7 picks in the draft. Like, that's what you'd want.
James, please, I hate to cut you off, but I got to ask you something for the sake of my sanity, because a lot of Giants fans, they want Deshaun Watson, but they're like, Fisk, we don't have the draft. Like, bro, can you please explain to them that the 5th pick by itself is worth at least 2 ones? Like in Houston, if you're Houston, right?
Oh yeah,
would you?
It's more. It's actually worth more.
Yeah, the 5th pick, or so. Let me ask you a question: if you're the GM in Houston, Jameis, and what would you rather do? Take the Giants' 5th pick, or take 2 ones from the Eagles at a 15 and 16? What would you rather do?
Yeah, the 5th pick. I mean, anybody out there, you can just say Google it, Jimmy Johnson draft chart. You could go to Draft Tech. There's some different sites that will have numerical values assigned to each pick. The Giants have the premium picks to trade for Deshaun Watson. If the Giants want Watson, it's done. Like it's a done deal, because I don't think there's any team that Houston would rather trade with than the New York Giants. They have the premium picks in the draft.
Thank you, Jameis. Oh my goodness, yo, because sometimes, right, I get sometimes people be thinking I be bugging sometimes because I say stuff that nobody else talk about. So it's like I don't follow the PC, say what everybody else is saying, so I look smart. I say my opinion. And my opinion always was that if the Giants came to Houston and said, we'll give you this year's 5th and next year's 1, Deshaun will be on a plane by the end of the phone call. He'll be on a plane by the time they hang the phone up. It's like, It's a done deal. Like, it's not even nothing to talk about. It's just John Demira signing off on it,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, if Deshaun Watson doesn't end up a Giant, it's only because the Giants didn't want to do it. They could get it done today, I think. Absolutely. Outside of them, like if they're out, as the reports are, outside of them, if I'm Houston, then I start looking at, well, Philadelphia's got 3 firsts, and they could throw in Hurts, and they could use Minshew as their little bridge to whenever Deshaun's back, right? So, I mean, they could offer Hurts and all 3 first if they wanted. But Deshaun's already kind of
that he didn't want to
hated on the city there. I don't think he actually really wants to play there at all. So then you start looking around, well, what other teams really have anything to offer? And Carolina, they would have to offer players. I think they would offer McCaffrey. I mean, who knows? They might offer Burns and then a bunch of future picks. But does Houston want to wait that long? So with the Giants pulling out, it puts Houston into a tough position because now they're probably going to be like, well, if you want to play, you need to go to Philly. And Deshaun's probably going to say, F you, I'm not going to Philly. Right? Exactly. And then what do they do? So it is interesting. It's interesting.
Shout out to Peyton. He says, all right, low ceiling means he's a decent starter. Fisk, you think Daniel Jones has elite potential. No one with a logical sense believes that. That's BS because I know for a fact that I'll give you an example right now. If the Giants gave up on Daniel Jones, you mean to tell me Pittsburgh wouldn't put a call in? Denver's not putting a call in? Yeah, what I'm trying to say about Daniel Jones is his potential is there. He just hasn't had the luxury of a Sean Payton. He hasn't had the luxury of a Andy Reid or somebody who can bring the best out of him. Like that coaching matters. I think Mac Jones is it good on another team? Like if Mac Jones goes to Jacksonville, stop it. Like please, let's not talk about that. Give Josh McDaniels and Belichick some credit. Like coaching matters when you're trying to develop these young quarterbacks. You can't just sit here and say, oh my goodness, Daniel, and nobody give me a valid reason why Daniel Jones is bad. They just say he's bad because they want to troll me. But nobody can give me a valid reason to why they think Daniel Jones is bad because he really hasn't given you one. I mean, but anyway, shout out to Peyton. How dare I want an elite quarterback over Daniel Jones? Nah, there's nothing wrong with that because I've been campaigning for Deshaun Watson for 3 weeks. And because I honestly feel like if the Giants get Deshaun Watson right now, we're the best team in the NFC because Brady really might retire. He really might retire. Aaron Rodgers is going to the AFC. Green Bay's not going to trade him in the NFC. He's going to the AFC. If you get rid of Brady and you get rid of Rodgers, whatever team lands Watson is the favorite in the NFC. That's just how the betting markets are going to do it because he's the best quarterback on the market. If he goes to Philly was just in the playoffs. They're gonna make him. They're gonna make Philly the favorites in the NFC. He lands in Washington. Oh, Chase Young's coming back. Oh, what are they gonna Chase Young and Montez Sweat and now they got Deshaun Watson. Wherever Deshaun Watson goes in the NFC, once Aaron Rodgers leaves, is probably gonna be the favorite in the NFC. You agree with that, James?
I mean, I would say maybe starting in 2023. I think he'll probably get dinged and suspended 6 games or maybe even the full season. So whoever's trading for him, I think they need to sort of plan for him not playing next year.
They're not going to hit him. They are what's his name? His agent. No, Roger get the one. No, I think it was either Schefter or Ian Rappaport has said that the NFL wasn't going to. It's time served basically. That's been the reports from like Schefter, Ian Rappaport. What they're saying is it's kind of time served. But even if they wanted to punish Watson, they can't give him more than 6 games. Big Ben, 6 games. He even didn't he get it reduced to 4? He appealed it or something. Ezekiel Elliott with his situation, he got 4 games. Hell, they re-punished Ray Rice, and he only got 8 games. So I don't think he'll miss the whole season. I think at best he misses 4 to 6 at the max, and that's if they punish him.
That could be. I think the most important thing for him is to get somewhere where he has at least a little bit of. He kind of has a little bit of a fan base built up, and that's why I think Carolina would be a good place for him. I mean, those fans already like him just from what he did in college. Philly, I don't know. He's already kind of dissed the city, so I don't know if Philly's going to ride with him that well. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Denver, to me, if I was him, I'd want to go to Denver. Denver's loaded. Denver is loaded with playmakers. I mean, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. They got 2 good tight ends that can stretch the field. They got 2 good running backs. Like, Denver's loaded. He could go there and put up huge numbers, but he might just not want to play in Mahomes and Herbert's division. I don't know.
That's why I think that's actually why I think Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Pittsburgh. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to go to Denver and deal with that headache. I think he'll probably end up in Pittsburgh. If I had to guess where Aaron Rodgers plays next year, my money's on Pittsburgh.
It'd be a good
I don't.
spot for him.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to go in that division with Herbert and Mahomes. I don't think anybody want that smoke. I mean, that's that shit. Yeah, okay. Sure. Good luck with that one the next 10 years. Shout out to Jamil. Jamil says, "Do you think the Giants will hire Quinn or Flores?" My money, if they, the rumor, well, Dable was already the favorite in Miami for 2 weeks ago because of Tua. Now, if the rumors are true, if the reports are true that they're about to give him that Matt Rule money, I know the Giants ain't gonna give him that Matt Rule 6-year contract or whatever. So if Miami's prepared to give him that 6-year mega deal and he takes the Dolphin job, I think the Giants are gonna go Flores. What you think, James?
With the Giants coach, yeah, it looked to me like Daboll was a done deal, but and Flores, I personally think he's a fantastic coach. I think he did a really good job in Miami. I don't think he had a ton to work with, but then like the whole firing is bizarre. Like he just didn't get along with ownership. They didn't like I mean, like the whole situation is bizarre. So that could give the Giants pause. I mean, I look at the New York Giants as a really good situation to step into. I know there's a lot of people that don't, but the 5th and the 7th pick, you've got a quarterback on a rookie contract that, I mean, they look like a solid situation to me. I know they don't have a lot of cap space, but they spent a lot last offseason, and that has a lot to do with it. And then it's the media market of the world and whatnot. So I would think that they could have their choice of coach, but if they're going to be cheap, like what you're saying, if Daboll's just going to get paid through the nose in Miami, then, well, yeah, why wouldn't he take that?
Yeah, what the Giants are going to do, like, the Giants aren't going to give. And Giants fans, I got to understand something. The Giants are not going to give their coach more power than their GM. That's not how we run things. We're not the 49ers where Shanahan runs stuff. We're not the Panthers where Matt Rule runs stuff. The Giants want the GM to run the show. They're not going to give the coach that mega contract that a Matt Rule got, that Brian Dable may get, that Shanahan contract where it's 6 years and then he has more power than the general manager. The Giants are going to give their coach I don't want to say peanuts because a couple $1 million a year ain't peanuts. What I'm trying to say is whoever takes the Giants job works for the general manager. It's so if you want to know why a Brian Dable would choose Miami over New York, even more so than the money, is because he'll probably have more say so in Miami. Joe Shane runs the show in New York. It's kind of like what's his name? What's the general manager's name in Indianapolis? Not Ryan Grigor, whatever the general, Chris Ballard, right?
Yep.
He runs the show in Indy. He hired Frank Reich. It's not like, for example, Sean Payton in New Orleans. The buck stops with Sean Payton. Mickey Loomis is a GM, but Sean Payton has final say on every roster move that goes on in New Orleans. The Giants are run like the Cowboys. The only difference is Jerry Jones is the owner and GM. On the Giants, you got the GM, but Jerry Jones decides the 53. On the Giants, Joe Shane is going to decide the 53. So if there's a coach out there who wants more control, they're not coming to New York. And that's just the truth.
Well, let me ask you a question since you're the Giants guy. Do you find it interesting, or do you think there's anything to the fact that so Daboll was kind of looked at as the favorite? He kind of pulls out, and now it looks like he's going to Miami. Reports out of Miami are that the owner really does want Deshaun Watson. And then the Giants come out and say, we absolutely will not make a deal for Watson. That Daboll wanted Watson. The Giants said, we're not going to do it. And he said, forget you then.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically. I'm telling you, because Mara, see, what Mara doesn't understand is whoever takes his job wants to win. And I'm the biggest Daniel Jones fan in the world, and I think Jameis 1of1 will agree with this next statement. You can't pick him over Watson. You can't make a third regime work with Daniel Jones. You can't do that. Like, if they don't want Daniel Jones, they don't want the guy. Trade him. And I love Daniel Jones, and I will do reactions to whatever team he goes to. But for God's sakes, if they want Deshaun Watson, they don't, or they want to move on from Danny because it's a brand new regime. Let them do that. The guy's had 2 offensive coordinators and 2 head coaches. And I'm a fan of his, but from a business perspective, and if I own the team, like, change, like, clean house, clean slate. I can't argue that this would be his third regime. Why does he get to survive 3 regimes? Even though you failed him, doesn't make. I'm getting upset now. This is Eli Manning all over again. John Mara gave Eli Manning an extra year because he was sad about the benching for Geno Smith, so he gave him another year out of pity. He's doing the same thing with Daniel Jones. He's giving him another year out of pity because he knows he failed this kid his first 3 years in the league, and he's gonna set our team back by 3 years by doing so. Unless Daniel Jones proves me right and is the shit, he's gonna set us back by 3 years.
And this season, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to wait. I mean, this season you have the 5th and the 7th picks. Like, this is the time to make a move for a quarterback if you're ever going to do it. Now, if for all I know, though, I mean, maybe they're going to use these the 5th and the 7th pick to build the lines, and they're just going to let Daniel Jones just kind of flounder, and they're not going to mind tanking this year, and they're going to go get a quarterback next year. I mean, there's multiple quarterbacks next year that are legitimate first-round quarterbacks. Whereas this year, all these guys are kind of like 2nd and 3rd rounders that are going to be pushed into the 1st because teams have needs. But I mean, maybe the Giants decided this is a long play. You know, we're not ready. We're not a quarterback away. So let's build the lines with the 5th and 7th pick, and let's get our quarterback next year. And hopefully, we lose as many games as possible this year.
But nobody's going to survive that. You see, here's a problem. All right, let me give you a little insight on the Giants. John Mara doesn't have a backbone. He bends to the knee of the public. If the Giants have another, if that's the case, Jameis, we should have just gave Joe Judge a 3rd year.
I agree. Yeah.
Period. Oh, I got killed on Twitter for that, by the way. Oh, Giants fans were murdering me on Twitter for that. But I specifically said, like, if you were gonna bring Daniel Jones back and rebuild, you might as well just let Joe Judge finish the job. Let Joe Judge hire his actual offensive coordinator, not force Jason Garrett on him, John Mara. Let him actually hire the offensive coordinator and see what he can do. Give him 1 more year. Because here's the thing, Jameis. They were slurp Joe Judge a year ago. Oh, we were Joe Judge everything. Joe Judge could run for mayor in New York a year ago, and now he's fired. There's no such thing as losing seasons in New York. The Giants, Dave Gettleman, say what you want about Gettleman, say what you want about Joe Judge. Them trading back last year and getting extra picks, they set this team up for this draft to, like, they were anticipating still being here right now. They did a good job with that. The reason why the Giants is an attractive job is because of the moves they made. And you fired him because the public got mad at him for 39 QB sneak. That's why he got fired.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, when it comes to the Giants and John Mara, Jameis, he bends to the will of the public. Whichever way the wind blows is which way he's going to go. If enough Giants fans complain about Daniel Jones and start campaigning for Deshaun Watson, I'll bet my entire life savings that John Mara will greenlight that trade because he bends to the knee of the public. He can't stand being booed. He can't stand people not liking him. If enough Giants fans complain for Deshaun Watson to be a Giant. It's simple as that.
So let me ask you real quick, because we haven't talked about this, but if right now Seattle calls up New York and you're the GM and they say, you give us Daniel Jones the 5th and the 7th, you get Russ, do you do it?
Hell no.
Okay.
I'm not giving the 5th or the 7th for Russ. You can get next year's 1.
Okay.
You can get Daniel Jones in a 2nd. Russ is 34? Please. Nah, you're not getting a 5th or 7th pick for a 34-year-old. I refuse. Nah, I'm good. No, and I love.
I just wanted to know, because I don't think Deshaun really, I don't think he's an option. I don't think Rodgers would even consider going there. So, but I think Russ actually would. I think Russ and Sierra would go for that.
Now Russ would go for it. No, I'll trade for Russ. You're just not getting 5 or 7. You can get next year's first. You're not giving 5 or 7. I mean, you better send. You better send me one of your. You better send me your best lineman with him. Whoever your best offensive lineman is, Seattle. I want Russell and him, and you can have that 5th pick. You know what I'm saying? I need more than a 34-year quarterback for that 5th pick. Hell no. Deshaun Watson 26. That's a whole nother ball game. Shout out to Peyton. Peyton says, Jameis, what do you think of Daniel Jones' ceiling is?
I look at Daniel kind of like I looked at Alex Smith coming out of college. He can move. He doesn't have elite arm talent. It's good enough to get it done in the NFL, of course, but it's not elite arm talent. He can move around. And a lot of people remember Alex Smith, especially younger people. They remember Alex Smith as this super efficient game manager. Alex Smith was a turnover machine when he was young. And so, because people will say, well, how can Daniel Jones be Alex Smith? Daniel Jones turns the ball over too much. He's got, I think, 50 total touchdowns and 65 interceptions plus fumbles in his career. But Alex Jones was a terrible turnover machine when he was young, too. But I see a lot of the same traits in Daniel that I saw in Alex. And Alex had a nice career for himself. He had a long career. He became efficient. I could see Daniel doing that in the right situation. I don't think he's the kind of kid that you hand a ball to and you say, carry us or gunsling us to shoot out victories. That was always my issue with Jameis, is that his coaches, they just said, oh, you got this cannon of an arm. You can do it all. Here, take the ball and go win go gunsling us to shoot out victories. That's just a recipe for disaster. So as long as Daniel Jones has good structure around him, a good run game, isn't asked to be top 3 in ADOT, which is average distance of target, stuff like that. If he can play within his limitations, I think he can have a long career as a decent starter. But I don't see some elite ceiling, some Hall of Fame type ceiling. No.
Shout out to Slipback. Fisk, in a crazy way, James Dolan would running a better. James Dolan is running a better team right now. James Dolan will send a plane himself to go pick up Deshaun Watson tomorrow. Yeah, James Dolan. Yeah, because James Dolan would have said, "Oh, I can win with that guy." John Mara is so. I hate that. I don't want to bury John Mara right now, but John Mara is so above reproach. He wants to be the classy. We do everything better. It's like when we gave Kyle Rudolph a freaking contract, even though we knew he was hurt. It's the Giants where we're classy. That was Gettleman's quote. We do things the right way. We're the Giants or whatever. So it's like Mara just has this he just thinks he's super classy. He's above certain things. He wants to win it John Mara's way and shit, but when it's all said and done, bro, the public had to get mad at you for cut a kicker. John Brown was beating his wife at the Pro Bowl, and it took public pressure for you to cut him. So don't sit here and tell me that you're some holier than thou, above reproach, classy kind of person. Like, bro, LT was a cokehead in the 80s, and you didn't cut him. I mean, I don't want to talk about his personal business now because, it is what it is, but LT's not the best guy on the planet. He's the greatest Giant that ever lived. So John Mara, he thinks he's something that he's not. So I do agree. If James Dolan ran the Giants, we would be a better team. We would, because he would go get Deshaun Watson. James Dolan probably would have broke the bank on a better coach by now. I don't think we'd have these rookie head coaches. Say what you want about Dolan. He got Phil Jackson. He gets the Thibodeaus. He tried it with Mike D'Antoni. It's not like the Knicks suck for lack of spending money and getting big names. Like, he tried. It just didn't always work. This guy, John Mara, is just like, I mean, Jameis, Eli Manning was an average quarterback and retired, the highest paid quarterback of all time when he retired. It took Brady playing for forever and Mahomes to sign that mega deal to pass Eli Manning in career earnings, bro. And he was average. But John Mara thought he was a good guy. So that's all you need to know about the Deshaun Watson situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me get your playoff picks, man, because we got an hour and a half in. I ain't got your playoff picks.
Yeah, I was 6-0 that first weekend. I picked all those games correct. Last weekend I was just 2-2. I'm doing it on ESPN. I think 99.5%. So that's pretty good. They have a weird schedule of how they do things. You have to pick receivers, yards, and all this stuff. So I'll take the Chiefs in a rout.
In a route?
And I'll take the Rams in a close game. Like, I think the Rams are a much better team, but San Francisco just owns them. They've won 6 in a row. So I'll still take the Rams, but I think it'll be a close one.
I'm gonna go. I want the Chiefs to lose so bad, but I can't picture Burrow, rookie, first year in the playoffs, going and beating them all. I want Burrow to win. I'm rooting for Burrow, but he's not winning in Kansas City. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm not putting any money on this. Screw it. I'm gonna go San Francisco, Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah, because you know what? I think San Fran's gonna win regardless. I'm just gonna pick Burrow for my upset. I don't want to pick both. I'm gonna pick Burrow for my upset. I think the 49ers are going to run the ball completely down the Rams' throat. They just are. When it comes down to it, the 49ers have everything but a quarterback. I'm never betting against the team that can rush the passer and run the ball. I'm just not going to do it. They have the formula, man. They're good, and they were just in the Super Bowl a year ago. They're a year removed from the Super Bowl. You want to talk about the team that has pedigree, the team that knows how to win? It's the 49ers. It's the same team. Matter of fact, it's actually better because they didn't have Deebo Samuel popping like this a year and a half ago when they was in the Super Bowl. I don't think Brandon Ayuk is good a year and a half ago in the Super Bowl. I think it was Emmanuel Sanders they was relying on. So they really might be a better team now than they was 2 years ago.
Yeah, if the 49ers do get there, then I do kind of hope it's the Bengals. I don't really want to see a rematch of Chiefs 49ers. And I saw some people talking about that. Like, that's the least wanted matchup, 49ers Bengals. The league won't want that, etc. I actually I don't really think so. I think if that happens, if it's 49ers Bengals, the entire week leading up to Super Bowl, all the media stuff will all be about how it's a reverse of when Montana took out the Bengals. Now this time Joe Cool is on the Bengals side and it's Joe Burrow and he's the new Montana and he's going to right the ship and do to San Francisco what Joe Montana did to Cincinnati. I think the whole thing will be a Joe Burrow love fest.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna one up you, Jameis. I'm gonna one up you, baby. The NFL needs that. They need to turn Burrow into a star. They need another star. I don't think the NFL will mind Joe Burrow becoming the face of the league at all. I think the NFL would love for Joe Burrow to upset Mahomes and get that publicity because now you have another mega star. So now it's like, oh man, we got Mahomes, we got Burrow, Josh Allen's on the come up. Like, I think the NFL wouldn't mind having another star if we're gonna go that route.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And on top of that, I like Burrow. I think Burrow, this kid's he's just. This goes back to our first argument, man, about when we talking about results versus talent. I just think Burrow just has this swagger, this intangible about him. He's gonna win a lot of ball games. I don't know if Herbert has. Herbert, you're right. Herbert is way more talented than Burrow. I give you that, but I don't know, man. I feel like this might be one of those situations where it's like you got Brady, Peyton, and Breeze. Now you got Herbert, Allen, and Burrow. One guy might just be that guy that wins all the time. Mahomes might be Peyton Manning, where he's gonna win every MVP and break every record, but not always win. And then you're gonna have Justin Herbert, who's gonna be Drew Brees, and he might barely get one ring, but he's always gonna be in the conversation. Hey, they might be this generation's Manning, Brady, Brees. They might be.
It could happen. It could happen. The only thing I would say is I'm shocked that Cincinnati got so good so fast, right? I mean, Burrow's rookie year, he was, I think, 2-7. He might have even had time there, but I think he was like 2-7 or 2-7-1, something like that. So he had a terrible win-loss record that first year, and I did not see this coming at all. I mean, I thought he'd be a good pro. I thought Jamar Chase would be an elite superstar, but I did not see the team, being as good as they are. And it's hard for me to sort of picture the Cincinnati Bengals maintaining a really good team for a long time because they just haven't done it. But yeah, I mean, it'd be good for the NFL. The more superstars, the better.
How do you feel about because I'm a firm believer in that star wide receiver will win me more games than that left tackle. Because I wouldn't have minded taking CD Lamb instead of Andrew Thomas. And when I saw the Bengals draft Jamar Chase over Penny Sewell, it just made me smile. And I feel vindicated right now. I do. I feel vindicated because Jamar Chase it's just been. You got Odell, you got Justin Jefferson, man. Them LSU boys tearing it up, but Jamar Chase might be the best one. And how do you feel about that rebuild? Taking a wide receiver instead of a left tackle.
I mean, I love the pick when it happened because I'm a huge Jamar Chase guy. I mean, I think the first time I saw him play, I was just like, okay, this kid's special, right? So there are receivers that are just elite game changers, and he's one of them. People will rave about some of the games that Burrow's had, and you're looking at it. You see Burrow throw a 1 yard pass, like it's going 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, and boom, Chase is taking it 65 yards to the house. Like he's got the ability to just jack the stats up for his quarterback. He's got the ability to make the entire defense sort of shade to his side of the field. He's special. But then also when you see Burrow go down with a serious injury, the ACL, MCL in his rookie year, your automatic first thought is just get whatever protection he needs, right? So it was a risk. I mean, they took a risk because you don't want to see your quarterback get hurt again. And Penei Sewell was good with the Lions this year. The team wasn't good, but he himself graded out pretty well. So, I mean, I love the pick, but I guess, like, if you're asking just do I value wide receivers over left tackles? No, I still would. I would lean towards the left tackle. But, of course, there are wide receivers that are more valuable one-to-one. I mean, are you really going to take a borderline Pro Bowl left tackle over Randy Moss? Probably not. Are you going to take an all-pro left tackle over an all-pro wide receiver? Probably. So that's where I would be on that.
So let me ask you that question then. Okay, so the best left tackle on the planet right now is Trent Richardson, right? Not Trent Richardson, Trent Williams in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, you can say that, sure.
Would you rather have Trent or would you – I don't think Cooper Kupp's the best. Devontae Adams. I think Devontae is the best receiver on the planet. Would you rather have Devontae or Trent?
I mean, moving forward, I guess I would take Devontae as a lot younger. But for 1 year, if everything else is equal, I would put more value in the top left tackle.
Okay, let me follow that up with a better question. Who would you rather have right now, T.J. Watt or Trent? Since just in their
Trent.
prime. Really?
Trent.
Over TJ? Over the best edge rusher?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like TJ Watt, he's great and everything, but like I would never take him over Aaron Donald. Never. What? Ever.
Oh, no.
Never.
We disagree there.
Like okay, I can't say that enough. Never, ever.
Can I ask you a question, James? All right, forget the left tackle for a question. All right, I need your opinion on this because I've had this debate with other people who came onto my channel, right? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Old enough.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Enough said. Okay. So I can ask you
old enough to debate about Otto Graham.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, good point. So, all right, I'm just going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw then. Because the best interior lineman I've probably seen will probably be Warren Sapp, right? And the best edge rusher I've probably seen will probably be, it probably be a toss-up between, Von Miller, Strahan, because of my age, I'm 32. So this is what I'm working with here.
Okay.
All time, you can get the best. You can get Aaron Donald, Warren Sapp, Mean Joe Green, whoever you want to. Would you rather have that guy, or would you rather have Lawrence Taylor, Bruce Smith, Von Miller? Would you rather have the best interior guy or the best edge guy?
Well, when you bring LT into it, it sort of changes the conversation. And I'm not saying that because I'm on a show with a Giants fan, but LT was like different. Like the best edge guy right now is TJ Watt, and the best interior is Aaron Donald, and I would take Aaron Donald 100% of the time. But LT was like on an entirely different level even than TJ Watt, at least in my view. LT changed the game. I mean, he changed the game. I probably would take LT over anybody. But if you're talking just like,
The
an
position.
equal level of dominance
That's a good point.
between the interior guy and the outside guy, I would probably take the interior guy because
Really?
he can draw the double teams, the triple teams sometimes. Now, Aaron Donald gets triple teamed. And people will say, well, hey, TJ Watt has, I'll just throw it, he has 20 sacks, and Aaron Donald only has 12. Okay, do you realize how much easier it is to get sacks from the outside than the inside? Do you realize how much less resistance you're going against? Do you realize, the different scheme fits and what you're asked to do? So I really think if you ask any like general manager, would they take Aaron Donald or TJ? I think 100% of them would take Aaron Donald. I think Pittsburgh would take Aaron Donald.
Okay, all right. So all right. Well, let's do the position. So you think the interior rusher is more important than the exterior rusher?
Yeah, if they're equally dominant, I would take the interior guy. Yeah.
Oh wow, because I don't know, man. Because I feel like most quarterbacks, I feel like they fear. If you ask a quarterback, who you more scared of, Warren Sapp or Michael Strahan, they'll probably go Strahan. Like I think Von Miller. I've just never seen an interior lineman dominate a game the way I saw Von Miller dominate that Super Bowl, or the way I saw like TJ Watt get like 4 sacks versus what was it? The Ravens, I think. It's just I feel like edge guys just do more damage.
Well, no, I would agree with that, but I would say that the primary word you use there is saw. And the reason is because the edge guys get the splash plays. They get the plays that everybody recognizes. But it's the interior guys that actually cause a ton of havoc.
Yeah, they do. It's all right. Real quick, my boy Zach, been a channel member for 4 months. My lieutenant Zach, I'll take the edge rusher since he has a running start. Yeah. But the thing is, James Harrison, I watched James Harrison dominate, bro. I just think I get what you're saying with the interior rusher, who they do a lot of dirt, they plug a lot of holes. That's my Leonard Williams case, because people think Leonard Williams is like not good. I'm like, Leonard Williams' job is to create, suck up double teams, stop the run. His job isn't necessarily to go get 10, 15 sacks. It's not his job. You know what I'm saying? But as a Giants fan, I watch LT, I watch OZ Manure, I watch JPP, I watch Strahan. I've seen the damage that the edge rusher can do. So maybe because I'm a Giants fan, I'm just blinded by what my team is historically won with. And I'm just like, Aaron Donald's good, but I don't know if I'm taking Aaron Donald over Khalil Mack at his best. Khalil Mack won what? Defensive Player of the Year at 2 different positions? You can't tell me that Aaron Donald's better than Khalil Mack.
I can.
You think he's a better player than Khalil Mack?
Yes. 100%. And I love Mack too. There's not a football player on earth I'm taking over Aaron Donald as a football player.
Really?
Not one.
I got the question of the night. Forget everything we talked about, because we got an Aaron Donald truth in the building. All right.
I'm not even a Rams fan. Like I'm not that dude. And I've actually made fun of Aaron Donald because he played against Jameis in college and in the pros. In all the games he's matched up against Jameis, he's never sacked Jameis once. Jameis shrugged him off like a little kid. He's never sacked him once.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jameis trolls him about it.
Here is the mega question. Now that we have an Aaron Donald truther in the building. Prime JJ Watt, prime Aaron Donald, go.
Aaron Donald.
What? Over prime JJ?
Yep.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. I watched JJ Watt wreck some games. And win some games. Until he swatting the ball down, picking it midair.
Yeah, he was a monster. He was a monster. And he's always going to be one of those guys that's like one of the great what if guys, because he's just suffered so many injuries. And yet, even with his career sort of being shortened and all this stuff, he's still first ballot Hall of Famer. He's still one of the most dominant ever. But he'll at the same time he'll be one of those what if guys. There's not a lot of guys like that. You know, like you think about in basketball, you look at like Penny Hardaway and guys like that. None of them were absolute all-time greats the way JJ was, and then also had their career shortened. The only thing I can kind of compare it to is like Bill Walton in basketball. He's kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm too young. I'm too young for Bill Walton. That's before my time. I was born in 89. I think his last good year was what, the 87, 86 Celtics, I think.
Yeah, he was even kind of old and a little washed then.
Yeah, I wasn't born for that. But that's crazy because I always thought, oh man, so you take Aaron Donald over Warren Sapp too?
Yeah, and I love Warren. Warren and I have DM'd it. I like Warren, but yes, I'm taking AD all day, every day. Just hopefully he doesn't say this because he'll flip out maybe.
Yo, this is crazy. There's one more defensive tackle. What's Randall from Minnesota? You think he's better than him?
Yeah, he was wild. I love that dude. He'd paint the Batman symbols on his face and stuff. He was great. And he, like Warren Sapp he sort of has like a bigger legacy than Randall, but there's definitely a case to be made that Randall actually was better. But yeah, I'm taking Aaron Donald over both those guys.
Damn. I mean, Aaron Donald is great, but what makes him better than those guys, though? Because I just feel like J.J. Watt popped off my screen more. There's times when I'm watching the Rams and I don't notice Aaron Donald.
It's true. I mean, but like again, like a lot of times he's getting tripled. And the edge guys, they'll make the splash plays. But I like this comment from one of your guys here, Arthur Supdong. He says nobody's better than LT. We all know that. Like that, I would agree with. LT, he was like on a different level. But still, if you're asking me, elite against elite, interior, exterior, I'll take the inner guy.
So I want all you dirty little Cowboy fans to hear what he just said. All this Mike Mekhi Parsons LT comparison, that shit need to stop immediately. I'm so offended. As a Giants fan, I never felt more insulted in my life. You got Troy Aikman on TV trying to compare LT and Mekhi Parsons. I want to jump through the screen. I'm like, yo, you got to be kidding me. Like, you played against LT. How could you even say this right now? Like, I don't even. Yo, Troy Aikman be bugging, man. Shout out to Damaged Goods. He says, this dude you have on the show, I love his mind. Look at you winning the Fisk unit over. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm disappointed in my subscribers right now because they troll me all day with that 6 for 6 shit. They will not let me say LeBron is better than Jordan for shit. Oh, 6 for 6. He can't be better than Jordan because Jordan won 6 times, Fisk. LeBron is 4-6 in the finals, Fisk. LeBron didn't win enough, Fisk. Jordan is 6 for 6. That's like, I'm like, what? And then you come on the channel and you were talking about wins don't matter. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. Y'all be going my ass with this LeBron James thing. And even when I say Peyton Manning is better than Brady, because I don't care what nobody say, I watched them both play. I think Peyton's better than Brady. I'm like, y'all say, Brady got 7 and Peyton got 2. And then you came on the channel. Here go my chat. Yeah, get him, Jameis. I'm like, what? Like, huh? I don't even like Brady. You got me defending Brady. I don't even like Brady like that. Because in my eyes, he's a cheater. I don't care what nobody says. I think he's great. I'm not saying he's not great, but cheater is a cheater is a cheater is a cheater. He benefited from Belichick. He benefited from Deflategate. I don't know how much you know about Deflategate, James, but didn't the Patriots get like 26 straight home games without a fumble? I mean,
yeah, they had some wild records, multiple. Yeah.
Don't tell me, bro. The fat dude, the equipment manager, his nickname in Tom Brady phone was the Deflator, bro. They called him the Deflator. What equipment manager is gonna go into a bathroom with a football without permission? Like, come on, bro. Like, I like Brady, but come on, he's a cheater. He still cheated. I love Alex Rodriguez. He's a cheater. I love Barry Bonds. He might have cheated. I'm not saying you can't love a guy for cheating, but please acknowledge the fact that Brady cheated. Peyton Manning was scared to talk in the locker room for a reason. they was cheating in Foxborough, man.
I see you got one chat here that says thoughts on Barry Bonds. So I'll say Barry should be in the Hall of Fame. It's insane that he's not. Like, period. Barry should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they lost me. Like, how you gonna let David Ortiz in, but the rest of the steroid users can't get it? I don't. On the first ballot though, how did they let a steroid user in on the first ballot? I don't get it. Jameis, please make sense to that. I still haven't wrapped my mind around David Ortiz getting into the Hall of Fame, bro.
Yeah, so much of the media and stuff like that, it's just all narratives. It's all who they like. You know, I mean, you saw that with the Aaron Rodgers thing and the voter coming out and saying he's a jerk, I won't vote for him. I think that stuff is actually, multiplied when you're talking about the Hall of Fame. I think the Hall of Fame can get really petty. So
yeah, because because you know what? Hey, yo, Randy Moss, you owe T.O. because if T.O. didn't make a big deal out of having to wait 3 years, I don't think Moss gets in on the first ballot. I think they only put Moss in on the first ballot because they were putting T.O. in. Because you can't tell me you're gonna hold T.O. accountable for what he did, but not hold Randy Moss ass accountable for quitting every time he didn't get his way. That's a two. You can't hold one accountable and not the other. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I really do think they only put Moss in on the first ballot because they were letting T.O. go in that year. And now we got T.O.
They both should have been first ballot, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't think off the field, not even off the field. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, man, either you were a great player or you weren't. I'm not gonna hold T.O. accountable because he thought Jason Witten and Roma was drawing up plays in the Bahamas. They probably were. Mm-hmm. They probably were in a hotel room drawing up plays together. I mean, we don't know. And I'm not gonna hold. Well, I don't know. Antonio Brown, he doing a little too much. They want to make Antonio Brown wait a couple years. It is what it is, but he does. You got to put Antonio Brown in the Hall of Fame. He was the best receiver of the decade. You can't tell me like Megatron quitting ass can go into the Hall of Fame, but you're not gonna put Antonio Brown in there. Like he's a nut. But
I think they're gonna keep AB out for a while, and that's sad. I don't care. The narratives around him or what a strange character he is. So what? He was elite on the field, absolutely elite, and he should be a first ballot guy. But I think he's going to have a longer wait than T.O. And
yeah, me too. They might make him wait 10 years, and I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that one. I'm trying to think anything else I want to pick your brain on while you in here. So, are you so I'll say this, right? Are you a basketball guy or just mainly a football guy?
No, I'm actually basketball's my first love. I've been studying quarterbacks for decades, but I played a lot more basketball than I played football. So basketball is my first love.
So can you explain to the Fisk unit why LeBron is better than Jordan? Because they used to hear in my opinion. So I need to hear it from someone else. Like, can you explain to them why LeBron is better than Jordan, please?
That would probably take a whole show. I've been on almost 2 hours, bro. That would probably take a whole show.
Yeah, because they because I want to see them turn on you. Because I know the minute you make it LeBron is better than Jordan case, they're gonna flood my stream with 6 for 6. I just want to see them turn on you. Like the Fisk unit betrayed me tonight. You know what I'm saying? I just can't wait for you to make your LeBron case so they could be like, nah, never mind. We thought he was smart, but no, he ain't. 6 for 6.
Well, they love me tonight. If I come back on, maybe we can have that debate. But I think I'll win them over again.
I hope you do, because whatever you say to win them over, I'm saying it in all my videos. Because this is basketball season now, so now I got to get back on my LeBron James. Guys, get the basketball monologues. Got to get those ready. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Laker time. I don't care.
And honestly, I mean, you talked earlier about just appreciating people. Like, the media is big on like creating villains, creating stars, building people up, tearing people down, and it's all about narratives. And I would just tell people that, when they watch sports, like really enjoy the careers, enjoy the performances. Like, don't hate a player enough to not respect and enjoy what he's doing. I mean, like if somebody's not a Stafford fan, right? Or maybe they're in Detroit and they're like, this dude's a loser. He never helped us. If he goes out and has this amazing, Super Bowl, enjoy that. If somebody's a huge Jordan fan, you can still enjoy what LeBron's doing. Like I've never been a team guy. I've always kind of been a dude that looks at individual players and, respects the performances. And I can watch any game and I don't care who wins. Like it just doesn't matter to me. I want to see everybody perform. I want to see the best team win. I want to see players have great games. And I like to see all players maximize their talent, their ability, their contract status, all of that. I want to see the best for everybody. So I know, like, when you get on Twitter and stuff like that, everybody's really emotional about sports. I mean, I'm an Orthodox Christian theologian, so I have like an entirely different worldview than most people. But I don't care who wins any game. I just want to see the performances, and I look at sports as kind of like a microcosm for life, and so I get enjoyment out of all of it. Win, lose, draw, tie, whatever, all of it. Boxing, MMA, and anything. Like, it's all a struggle, and it all represents life. It's cool to me.
Oh, I didn't even speak about boxing. Floyd Mayweather, he undefeated. People don't respect Floyd enough. If you talk about you said something about narratives, and I don't think Floyd gets enough credit for how great of a defensive guy he was. All people want to say is, well, he couldn't hit. And I'm just like, have you seen that guy play defense? Well, not play defense, but have you seen the way he dodges punches? Like, it's not all about hit power.
I think he was the greatest defensive boxer in history, any weight class.
Agreed. I'm like, you can't hit Floyd. Like, this is not. I'm not exaggerating when I say that he was damn near unhittable in his prime. But all people care about is hit power. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Damaged Goods. I love how this guy think he uses logic. LeBron. Yeah, he definitely need to make his LeBron case because I need some more ammunition. So I know whatever 1of1 say just gonna add to my argument. Shout out to Rell. Top 3 most talented quarterbacks you've ever seen.
Oh, for me, I mean, there's a difference between, of course, arm talent and absolute athleticism. So arm talent wise, I would say Josh Allen is number 1. And I know Mahomes is the golden boy. No, Josh Allen's arm blows Patrick's away. It blows everybody's away that I've ever seen.
Because I said he was the best quarterback on the planet after what I've seen him do versus Mahomes. So I'm not off my rocker when I said that. Then.
Yeah, I would say arm talent wise, Josh Allen, John Elway. There's a lot of guys I think that could kind of slot into third. I would put Allen and Elway kind of ahead of everybody else. And then if you're just talking about raw talent, like, God-given talent that's just incorporates everything, you even have to look at guys like Michael Vick. Like, I mean, that guy was an absolute freak athlete. Cam Newton is a freak athlete because he's got a ton of arm strength. It wasn't all that accurate, but he also has an incredible amount of athleticism. And then if you include frame in a debate on talent, because it's God-given, it isn't necessarily built. I mean, Cam was created by God to be like a monster. The dude's amazing. But you could also say he never maximized that talent, which is an entirely different conversation.
Like Josh Allen.
And that's another thing, like with me, I have GOAT lists, I have boat lists, I have all these different kind of lists in my mind for different players. But I also like to look at, what players maximize their talent, because that's really should be kind of the definition of greatness. Now, it's not going to be anybody's definition of greatness because it isn't necessarily measurable, in statistical columns or in the win-loss column. But, when you look at, say, Jordan and Kobe, right? Kobe, I think, absolutely maximized his talent. Everything you read about him, everything you do, I won't go into a lot of the stuff, but he maximized every ounce. Jordan actually was a better natural athlete. He was a little bigger, he was a little stronger, he was a little faster. He could jump a little higher. He had way bigger hands. Like, he had a little bit more natural gifts. But Jordan was out partying, gambling, doing all this stuff. Kobe was just a maniac about his sport. And that's one thing, people say, well, why do you like Jameis? That's one thing that I actually respect about Jameis. The kid's a maniac when it comes to working out, studying film. Tampa's coaches had to throw him out of the building and tell him, knock it off. You're working too hard. Go home. And New Orleans coaches, they know. They talk about how insane his work ethic is. Mike Evans talked about it one time and said it was weird how much Jameis was into football. Like even when you're looking at professional athletes, Jameis kind of stands out with the work ethic. And I really respect that. Now, whether he'll ever reach the heights of certain players, I don't know. But I do believe he is giving like every single ounce of himself to maximize his God-given talent. And people take it for granted and think, well, everybody's doing that. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's a ton of players that do not take their profession seriously. A ton.
Agreed. And I'm glad you brought up Cam Newton, because every time I watch Josh Allen the past year, I say that's what Cam Newton would have been if he ever fixed his accuracy. Like, I give Josh Allen a lot of credit, man. He really worked on his accuracy. It's night and day between him now and his first 2 seasons. It's a way more accurate thrower of the football. And I'm like, Cam, that could have been you, bro. I don't know what coaches Josh Allen got with besides Brian Dable. I don't think Brian Dable's with him in the offseason every day. Like, I don't know who worked with Josh Allen, or Josh Allen just sat there and threw footballs through barrels for 10 hours a day. But I give him all the credit in the world for fixing his accuracy. And I look at Cam Newton and I say, man, what if Cam ever fixed his accuracy the way that Josh Allen did? He would have been a freak of nature out there, bro. But
and same like with Vic, and Vic has talked about it. He's been very forthcoming. He's great, as a media member now. He's better, I think, in the media than he was as a player. But he's talked about how he did not give himself to the game. He did not learn all he could do. He threw his playbook in the car and didn't read it. Like, had he had a drive of like a Kobe and Jameis, people say, don't put Kobe and Jameis in the same, whatever. And he had a drive of Kobe and Jameis and these guys, Vic could have been an all-time great too. I like this chat thing on the side. I don't do YouTube. I usually all the interviews I give, I'm calling on the phone from a blocked number and stuff. I don't usually do this, but it's fun seeing all the chats. And I guess when I mentioned the talent, somebody brought up Favre. Favre's one of those guys that, could have a spot fighting for that third spot as far as just pure arm talent, but he didn't have the natural athleticism as some of the other guys. And so if you're looking at Josh Allen and Favre side by side, Allen has a bigger arm and he's way more athletic. So no, Favre wouldn't be in Allen's class.
Where do you put Prime Rodgers at? Where does he rank at with that?
Yeah, I see somebody said Aaron Rodgers the F. Aaron has a great amount of arm talent, especially if you're not just talking about arm strength, because there's a lot of things that go into arm talent that aren't just how far you can throw the ball. You're talking about off-platform throws. You're talking about, accuracy, timing, throwing with anticipation, throwing guys open, things like that. And Rodgers would score really high on a lot of that stuff. His arm is not as big as Allen's and Elway's. I don't really think it's as big as Favre's either, especially not if you're looking at velocity. But Rodgers was more accurate than Favre, and he's a little better with off-platform things and timing, and maybe even anticipatory throws. Although he doesn't do it a lot, he's a very safe thrower of the football. He'll throw it out of bounds a lot more than take chances. So again, though, like if you're looking at Rodgers and stacking him right next to Elway and Allen as just pure raw talents, I think Elway and Allen both blow Rodgers away. And then somebody, I don't know if they're being funny, but they put Peyton Manning in there. No, Peyton Manning is not in the all-time talent list. He didn't have a big arm. His arm was fine. It was a plus arm, but he didn't have elite arm talent. Obviously didn't have elite athleticism. He had a great frame and he had a great mind, and he had a plus arm. But no, Peyton Manning wouldn't be. He probably wouldn't be in the top 50 as just pure talent.
I think Peyton beat you with his brain. I think a lot of the reason why Peyton was so great is just Peyton just knew what you were gonna do better than you did. So a lot of what you saw with Peyton, the reason why, same thing with Drew Brees too. Like when you have that kind of anticipation, it makes up for arm talent. When you had that kind of when you had those anticipation skills, and you trust what you see in the defense, and you know where your wide receivers are gonna be, you could throw that ball and they'll be there. And I think that's what, because somebody asked about Drew Brees. When you look at guys like Brees and Manning, even Tom Brady, because he curses his receivers out all the time about it. Like if you are where they expect you to be, they can make you look good, and that pass, it doesn't matter if they can't throw like far. What is
That's
your
true.
take on that?
Yeah, that's true. This person, I don't know if they're trying to get me in trouble, but they put, "What about Breeze?" I have a lot of Saint followers and listeners and whatnot. No, Drew would Drew would probably not be in the top 200 as far as just pure talents. Um, I mean, if you're looking at frame, he was short. If you're looking at arm strength, no, he had a plus arm. I mean, it was fine, but it's not even remotely close to special. He did not have special athleticism. So there isn't really anything about Drew where you'd say, oh, yeah, that dude was a talent. Drew also beat you with his mind and is extremely accurate. He might be the most accurate passer of the football in NFL history. As he aged, of course, his arm got even worse, and there were certain throws he wouldn't even attempt. There were certain areas of the field that he ignored completely. And that's why I think when the Saints got Jameis in there, I was talking to some people in Tampa, media and things, and I said they're going to be more difficult to defend with Jameis because the entire field is open to Jameis. Jameis can sit on his knees and throw 60 yards. Like the whole field's open. And with Drew, you had to play offense in a phone booth. You had your wide receiver stacked in close, and everything. There were just huge swaths of the field that Drew would ignore because he didn't have the arm to get it there. But he's an all-time great. He had a great mind, and he was insanely accurate. So yeah, I like the comments. This guy, I don't know who this is. This must be one of your dudes. Pest Lost Child from 1738. Is Daniel Jones is one of the biggest work ethics. F you if you don't believe it. Okay, listen, I don't know Daniel. I don't know his camp. I don't know anything about him.
He does have a great. I troll Kyler Murray because Daniel Jones makes it a habit of flying his receivers out to different cities and states once a month for a weekend to work out together. And I was like, well, Daniel Jones is like literally working out with his receivers in Arizona right now. And Kyler Murray's on Twitch talking about hating the Cowboys.
That's cool. I mean, I didn't know that about Daniel, so I wasn't trying to insult him.
He's a gym rat. His quads are as big as Saquon. Like we Giants fans make fun of it all the time. It's like, yo, this guy Daniel Jones is like, he's a gym nut. And it might be why he gets hurt so much, to be honest with you. I think he works out too much.
Yeah. And like so again, like I wasn't trying to insult Daniel. I don't know him personally. When I talk about Jameis, like I have intimate contact with his team. Like I'm the guy that dropped the secret rehab video he did. I'm the guy who said, I'm the guy that said that he had meniscus surgery, and the Tampa media said I was lying. And Schefter and Rappaport tried to report it. They couldn't figure it out. Everybody was calling Jameis's family asking, did he really have meniscus surgery? And they froze the media out. So the media couldn't figure it out. 2 weeks later, I think it was Rappaport came out and said, Jameis Winston had meniscus surgery. Breaking news. I had already said it 2 weeks prior. And so when he did that, I dropped a behind-the-scenes video, and Jameis is sitting there on the rehab table. Behind him is a Drew Brees jersey. And Jameis is talking about how much Drew means to him, how he met him when he was a little kid, how the first autograph that Drew ever signed after he signed with the Saints for anybody was for Jameis as a little kid. So, like, I mean, when I say that Jameis is like a maniac and works out hard and stuff, like I know this stuff. I'm not just guessing or reading stories. His trainer wrote the foreword for my book. So like I have a lot of respect for Jameis because I really know like what he's gone through, how hard he works. I mean, 64 days after having ACL surgery, he's doing like quarterback drills. Like that's nuts. You're not supposed to be doing that stuff.
How does he look right now? How will he be able to start for a team and come training camp?
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt he'll be ready by game one. And I think he'll be ready, in preseason. Burrow suffered the same injury, and Burrow actually suffered it a little later in the season. So Jameis, I think I tweeted it out. I can't remember now. I want to say 21 days or 14 days, something like that, where Jameis will actually be able to have more rehab. So I don't have any issues. I don't have any concerns as far as going forward with him. I think he'll be ready by game one. I think he'll be ready in the preseason. And his work ethic, it's ridiculous. Like it's insane. Like I said, like the coaches were sending him home. So whoever gets him, whether he stays in New Orleans or whether he goes to somebody with more cap space, they're getting a hardworking kid, and they're getting a kid that has a resume that is extremely impressive. Like I've talked about this on other shows. In the NBA, there's phenoms, and phenoms come along quite often, right? Kobe was a phenom. LeBron's a phenom. You could look at T-Mac as a phenom. They come along. There's almost no phenoms in the history of football at the quarterback position. And by phenom, I mean somebody that was the consensus number one high school quarterback in the country, the consensus best quarterback in college, and then start in the NFL. There's almost nobody that fits that bill. Definitely not Brady. Definitely like none of these guys. Even Manning, when you look at Manning, he didn't win a Heisman. He didn't win a national title. He didn't even, like I said, he didn't even beat Florida, right? Matthew Stafford is a guy who was a number one quarterback in high school, kind of flamed out completely in college. And then in the NFL was up and down and up and down. And now, right now, he's starring. But Jameis was the consensus number one quarterback in high school. He goes to Florida State, and his very first year starting, they go undefeated, and he wins Heisman on top of it and throws a game-winning come from behind touchdown on his 20th birthday. The next year, he's top 6 in Heisman voting again. He leaves college with a 26-1 record and 2 top 6 Heisman finishes. He goes into the NFL. He becomes the youngest Pro Bowl quarterback in the history of the NFL. The next year, he becomes the first quarterback that ever started his career with back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons. The next year, he tears his throwing shoulder. He gets that hurt really bad, and he still leads the NFL in 300-yard games, even though he only played 11 full games. 2019, he led the NFL in yards, was second in touchdowns, and led the 4th highest scoring offense without a run game, and while playing almost the entire year on a torn meniscus, and 4 games with both a torn meniscus and a broke throwing hand. And then this year, he was elite in the metrics. The only quarterback in the entire NFL with a better EPA per play or adjusted was Aaron Rodgers. Jameis was second in the whole NFL. There's only 3 quarterbacks in the entire NFL that were better in QBR: Brady, Rodgers, and Herbert. Jameis was 4th in the NFL. And he did that with maybe the worst receiving core in football, according to the media. Like, the kid's the real deal. I know people love to hate on him, but he's the real deal.
I've always going into the season. I mean, I was like I said, I'm a fan of Jameis. I do think Jameis got the short end of the stick with Michael Thomas doing that sketchy shit that he did. But because I'm still not. I still think Michael Thomas kind of did all that on purpose, but that's none of my business. So I would have loved to see him be able to get a chance to throw to Michael Thomas to see what kind of numbers he would have put up. But now Sean Payton's stepping down. I don't know what they're gonna do in New Orleans. Jameis probably might end up in somewhere like Denver or Pittsburgh or something like that. He might end up there. Now that I really think about it. Why would he go back to New Orleans at this point? They're probably going to get rid of Michael Thomas. Sean Payton's not there. If Pittsburgh with Deontay Johnson and Claypool comes calling, I'd go. If I can go throw to Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, I'd go. I hate to break it to Saints fans, but if Jameis has options next season, he might go to greener pastures in the AFC. He might.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Like I said, I mean, every team in the NFL has more cap space. Pittsburgh wanted him bad in 2020. He chose New Orleans instead. Breeze was on his last year. Big Ben was going to possibly play multiple years, so it just that makes sense. I think any quarterback would make that wise decision. But again, if New Orleans keeps the band together, and I think it'd be a fine spot. I mean, that team has a great culture. The players all seem to love each other. Like if Dennis Allen takes over as the coach, I think the players will ride with him. So I think it's still a good situation, but Pittsburgh could also be a really good situation. Tomlin's a great coach. I think him and Jameis would hit it off like crazy. Like I think they would get along like amazingly well. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the whole quarterback carousel shakes out. There was one comment here. Where's it at? Okay, this guy. I'll say that Nicholas Bell, he says Elway only threw 4,000 yards once LMFAO. Okay, again, just like judging individual players by team success is kind of insane. Only looking at a stat and then pretending that equates to talent is also insane. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he did a full segment on college quarterbacks, and he talked to me in advance and was asking me a bunch of questions about it. And I explained to him that college stats, and you can do this with the NFL too, but college it's extremely prevalent. College stats for quarterbacks basically mean nothing at all. Like Colt Brennan. Probably a lot of people don't even know what that name is. Google him. But Colt Brennan, the stats he put up were some of the most insane that you'd ever want to see. Timmy Chang is another guy. But college stats, they're all about systems, right? John Elway, stats in college sucked. But everybody that watched him could see his talent was through the roof. Most people would have considered him at that time, the scouts, the greatest talent they'd ever seen. His college stats sucked. His win-loss record sucked. So when I say John Elway is top 2-3 all-time talent, yeah, I'm definitely not backing off that. And it doesn't make any difference if you threw for 4,000 yards once or if he never even threw for 500 yards in a season. It doesn't make any difference. It's all about talent. Josh Allen was an all-time talent the second he stepped into the NFL. He was terrible as a rookie. He was still an all-time talent. So don't get it confused. Talent and stats, they're not always, they're not the same thing. They don't match up. Talent is talent. Stats has a lot to do with situation and system and coaching and all the rest. But everybody knows Josh Allen is an all-time talent. Everybody knew John Elway was an all-time talent. Doesn't make any difference what their college stats were. Doesn't make any difference what their NFL stats were. They're all-time talents.
Jameis, I apologize for Nicholas. He young and don't know nothing. Okay, bro. John, nobody not named Dan Marino was throwing for 4,000 yards in the 80s, man. Like this whole notion, like Nicholas is younger. See, this is what I mean by I hate young people because y'all not putting nothing in context. I'm really gonna be smacking my grandkids 20 years from now because I'm gonna be like, yo. This dude, Joe DiMaggio the fifth or whatever his name is not going to be, you can't tell me better than Brady because the NFL is playing 19 games and dudes is throwing for 6,500 yards a season now. Like, we can't do that. Like,
right.
Mahomes, Allen, they're going to shatter Tom Brady and Peyton and Drew Brees. They're going to shatter those numbers with this extra game. And the way the rules are, you can't hold receivers no more. Like, do y'all understand that Dan Marino threw for 5,000 yards and they could hold receivers all the way down the field? They could hit quarterbacks in the pocket. Like, young people don't understand nothing, bro. Ugh. Real quick, James, I don't want to keep you long. I'm sure you're a busy man, but real quick, Slickback. Shout out to Slickback. Jameis, what's your opinion on Brian Daboll?
I think he'll be I think he's a great OC. It's hard to say how somebody is going to translate to the head coach position because there's a long history of guys that were amazing coordinators that just flamed out as coaches. But I definitely think he's worth hiring. And the work that he did with Allen is remarkable. Like some people give him too much credit. They'll say, well, look how accurate Allen got under Daboll's tutelage. And that's true. Like statistically, that is true. But again, Allen is an all-time talent. So if Daboll goes and flames out, people are going to say, oh, well, it's just because Allen was Allen and he finally came into his own. But I think he's worth hiring. He's coming from a great structure. McDermott's a really good coach. They built a really good team there. I think, he's got to sort of, live inside of a great ecosystem for a long time to where he's now ready to go take the step and build something himself. So, yeah, I think he's a good hire. But I don't look at him as like an automatic slam dunk. There's very few of those.
Yeah, I've been trying to explain this to people for 2 weeks now. I'm like, yo, like Josh Allen, no offensive. Josh Allen's just great, bro. Those throws, man. Brian Daboll play calling, it might be good, but Josh Allen's making some incredible throws. It's like, come on, man. I got to separate the two. Like, I love Daniel Jones, but he can't make those throws outside of the pocket that Allen makes. Like, I watched the Patriot game. I'm watching Josh Allen literally with the flick of a wrist fall out of bounds. I think it was Gabriel Davis or it may have been Emmanuel Sanders or somebody. He hit somebody on the wing on like 35 yards crossing the field, and this dude Allen's falling out of bounds. It's like the flick of the wrist. He just said, and the ball was just like, anytime the ball looks fast on TV, he got a cannon, man. I'm sorry. Like, if you could watch the TV screen and say, damn, that ball got there fast, you got a talented boy over there. So it's like, I'm not trying to shit on Brian Daboll, but I have more respect for Kyle Shanahan making Jimmy G look competent or Sean McVay making Jared Goff look competent than I do for Brian Dable working with that animal out there in Buffalo. You know, that's just me though.
Yeah. This is a good comment here. He says, "Thank you." Everyone said Haskins threw more touchdowns in a season than Daniel Jones in 4 years and bashed him so much. Yeah, again, like college stats, they really are irrelevant. They have a lot to do with system, with supporting cast. Josh Allen, for example, in Wyoming, who was he throwing to? Nobody. He was throwing to nobody. He was throwing to guys who are not. They're not going to get drafted. They're not in the NFL. They don't belong in the NFL. And Daniel Jones, even, I mean, in Duke, there's a huge talent disparity there between Duke and Ohio State. So people that look at college stats and then they're like, well, this quarterback will be good because he put up better stats in college. It's meaningless. Like, you need to really do an eye test on college quarterbacks. And the same is true in the NFL, but it's really paramount in college because the stats can be so there's going to be such an enormous gap between an inferior talent putting up these superior stats and a superior talent putting up these inferior stats just based on system and situation.
I got a hot take. I really feel like by today's January 26th, I want to bet my entire YouTube check by March 26th, ESPN and NFL Network will convince y'all that there's 4 starting quarterbacks that should go in the top 5. They do it every year, bro. Like,
yeah.
They do it every year. Like, people really think that Houston and Detroit aren't taking quarterbacks. I'm like, oh, y'all stupid. What are you, nuts? There will be, by the time the draft comes around, there will be at least three quarterbacks that the entire NFL world is gonna kill the Houston and Detroit for not taking. They do it. Who the hell was Zach Wilson and Trey Lance? I heard of Justin Fields, heard of Trevor Lawrence. By the time draft night came around, they're trying to tell me that these guys are better than Mac Jones, and I watched Mac Jones win the national championships. I watched Justin Fields beat Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I know the college numbers don't matter that much, but the point I'm trying to make is Wentz came from North Dakota State. Where the fuck is that? Wyoming for Josh Allen. Where the fuck is that? I only know about Duke because I'm 30 minutes away from Daniel Jones. If I went 30 minutes away from the kid, I would have never known who the fuck he was. I mean, like, every year there's going to be quarterbacks that just come from the middle of nowhere because, like Jameis has been telling y'all for 2 hours now, these guys look at talent.
Well, yeah, and like, I mean, everybody knows, I think Wyoming doesn't exist. It's a CIA psyop. It's really just like southern Minnesota, and they call it Wyoming.
Basically, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, where is it? Like, you got these kids coming from schools. I'm like, where does Zach Wilson come from? BYU or something?
Yeah, BYU.
Like, come on, bro. Like, then you got this guy Malik Willis from Liberty. Who the hell is he playing at Liberty? Who? Y'all want Malik Willis to go in the top 5? I'm like, come on, bro. They do it every year. Yeah. Every year, some team drafts some guy thinking he's gonna be a top 5 quarterback, and you end up with Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. And I'm just like, I told you. Told you.
There's a few questions in here about Baker Mayfield, so I'll say real quick. I love Baker as a character, and what I mean by that is I think he's fantastic for football. I think he's fantastic for the media. I think he's fantastic for the fans. He's a fascinating guy to sort of watch and see how he interacts with the media. Like, there isn't many people like them. He's almost like a new age Charles Barkley and like a little white package quarterback. Like, it's funny. But as a pure quarterback, no, I've never been sold on Baker. People know that. I've talked about Baker for a long time. He has enough talent to succeed. It's not like he's just a backup. He absolutely has enough talent to succeed. You put him in the right situation, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I don't think it's all that close. And it doesn't really matter what the stats are. But if you take Baker and you put him in San Francisco's system with that run
Baker
game,
not missing that throw to Emmanuel Sanders. I agree with that. I don't even like Baker, but he's better than Jimmy G.
Yeah, but Baker, I don't know that he'll ever be a guy that you necessarily want to build a team around. And I don't think, I definitely don't think he's a guy that you just give a ball to and say, carry us. Like Stefanski's the best thing that happened to him, bringing in that run game. Nick Chubb's there, Kareem Hunt was there. Like that really helped Baker a lot. Baker was a disaster under Todd Monken. Like Jameis was with Todd Monken in 2018, and he was 5th in the NFL in raw QBR. Like Jameis is the only quarterback other than Drew Brees since he entered the league to be top 5 in raw QBR in a losing team. QBR is a stat that really lines up with win-loss percentage a lot. And so to be top 5 on a losing team, it's almost unheard of. It's only Jameis and Brees that have done that since Jameis entered the league. The very next year, Monken leaves Jameis and goes to Cleveland to work with Baker, and Baker just falls apart. I think he was like 26th or 23rd, something like that in QBR. Like he fell apart. So I don't look at Baker as a talent. I think he has enough talent to be successful in the right system and situation. But I don't look at him as one of these elite talent guys at all. But I still love the kid. I love him. I hope he goes to war with the media his whole career. He's fantastic.
Oh, he will. He can't. Him and his wife can't help. They can't help themselves. Him and his wife both. They can't help themselves but to take shots at the media. You know, I will say this. Zach brought up a good point because it was about John Elway. Yo, that's what there go. You know, that goes back to my side of the argument from when we first started the show, Jameis. Like John Elway taking them trash teams to the Super Bowl in the 80s. Like he should get a medal for that shit. Like John Elway dragged some horrible teams, man. He just had that. I don't know. You can't put a number on it. Just certain quarterbacks have this it factor. They have this calmness under pressure. They just get. I call it the get shit done trait. John Elway, Tom Brady. These certain quarterbacks. They just got the get shit done trait. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but
yeah, Elway is a great all-time talent. A great quarterback. He's actually funny because I use him sometimes in debates with people about stats. Elway and Ken O'Brien, right? They were draft mates. They came into the league the same year. And nobody even really remembers who Ken O'Brien was. But do you know Ken O'Brien retired with a higher career completion percentage, a better career interception rate, and a better passer rating than Elway?
Oh, wow.
And nobody remembers O'Brien because it was all sort of irrelevant. Like, Elway did. I mean, he had a great career even without sort of the statistical acumen of even a draft mate like O'Brien. So yeah, Elway is a cool career to look at, to study, to compare to others. And in my book, you know, the book I wrote, 400 plus pages, and it's backed by 850 citations, almost 900, and it's loaded with data. And so I compare all the Super Bowl era quarterbacks to each other, right? So it's focused around Jameis, comparing Jameis with them all, but it's also comparing them all with each other. So you can compare Elway and say, you know, Ken Stabler or Montana and Bradshaw and stuff like that. And it does it all on an era adjusted basis, because like that one comment I read about how Elway only threw for 4,000 once, it's irrelevant. When you compare eras, you really need to do an era adjustment before looking at the quarterbacks in different eras, because otherwise you come out thinking that Jay Cutler is better than a ton of Hall of Famers. Jay Cutler is not better than a ton of Hall of Famers. But if all you do is look at counting stats, you'll actually think that. So my book era adjusted everything and then looked at everybody. It even brought in team win-loss percentage and tied it in with run defense and all that stuff. Like it's a statistical kind of mountain for people to look at. But in doing that, you know, you see how Elway stacks up. And he was a fantastic, fantastic talent.
Hey, yo, I'm going to drop a bombshell on y'all before we get out of here. Hey, everybody in the chat, since Nicholas want to talk about he want to take shots at John Elway, I'm going to tell you how meaningless these numbers really are when it comes to comparing eras. I'm going to put this in context. You are aware that if we're just looking at numbers, like our grandkids 30 years from now, if we're just looking at numbers, y'all are aware Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan have better careers than John Elway, right? Go look at the stats. Like, for real. Like, it's not even close. If you go look at Matt Ryan numbers and Kirk Cousins numbers, and you go look at John Elway, hell, go look at Joe Montana numbers. They blow those dudes out the water. It ain't even close. You know what I'm saying? So, like, before you got go on here disrespecting the Elways and the Montanas because they couldn't throw for 4,000 yards, go ask yourself, is Kirk Cousins better than Joe Montana? because Kirk Cousins throws for a bazillion yards a season. Let me think about that. Yeah. I just, for real though, like, Jameis, we gonna be beating some little kids up 15 years from now. They're gonna be trying to tell us people better than people. They're gonna be like, yo, this dude threw for 6,500 yards 4 straight times, 48 touchdowns, and I'm be like, bro, stop. I'm gonna duct tape you to a chair, make you watch some film. Like, leave me alone.
Oh, I see this one, this comment. He's actually keeps posting it over and over, but I just saw it. Pest Lost Child. He says, how much does your assessments align with PFF? I honestly can't answer the question because I don't read PFF. I don't really? PFF. I don't like, I'm not, okay. My basic issue with PFF, right? Data is beautiful. Like, the data that they put out, great. But when you're talking about human grades, I just throw them in the trash. I don't pay any attention to them. I don't think they line up with the data at all. Like, PFF, I think, kind of puts themselves out there as a subjective, arbiter of truth in football. And data is subjective. I'm sorry. As an objective, my bad. As an objective arbiter of truth in football, data is objective. But I think that PFF, in reality, they're more like a subjective think tank. That they're biased. I've debated and had DM streams with PFF guys that have freaked out on me and blocked me, and they can't handle a real debate. I know all those PFF guys, they can't handle a real debate. And the data is great, but when they get into their human grades, it doesn't line up with their data. And if you challenge them on that and say, well, how come you've got this guy ranked lower than this guy when he blows them away in basically every relevant comprehensive quarterback metric, they're basically like, shut up. They don't have an answer. So I don't really have a lot of respect for PFF when it comes to human grades, and I don't pay any attention to them. So when this guy asked me, how much do my assessments align with them, I honestly don't know. I just don't care what their human grades are. I know that they're outside of a couple of guys I know at PFF, they love to bash Jameis. There's a couple guys at PFF that admit, Jameis is elite in basically every relevant quarterback metric, but still, as an organization, they basically bash him. I know that much. But I just don't put a lot of value in human grades. I mean, it's like looking at Chris Sims' quarterback rankings. I mean, if you want to make yourself stupider, you can do that.
That guy.
Yeah, if you want to get dumber, you can spend a half an hour looking at Chris Sims' quarterback rankings, but they're ridiculous.
Yeah, don't get me started on him. I'm like, first of all, yeah, ESPN and FS1 out here promoting the Chris Sims quarterback ranking like he was good. Like, come on, bro. Like, if there's
Chris Sims literally did. Yeah, Chris Sims literally did a segment, said he watched film or whatever, and then said that Taysom Hill had a stronger arm than Jameis.
Oh my God.
My 7-year-old, my boy's 8 now, but he could watch tape and know that that's not remotely true. Taysom Hill throws ducks. Come on.
That's why I said people really thought that Taysom was going to start over Jameis. I said, y'all, but unless it's political, he's not starting over Jameis. Yeah, he's not beating Jameis out of camp. I'm like, Saints fans, y'all bugging right now. Like, Taysom Hill is not better than Jameis. I don't know what I still don't know what the hell they was. I just think they like Taysom. You know what I'm saying? They home out. He's not even homegrown. I don't know what the hell Taysom is. He kind of is homegrown because he ain't do shit in Green Bay, but
yeah. And he has a fan base. I mean, like, the way Sean handled it, I think was smart. He kept sort of the fan base from freaking out. But the New Orleans media, even, they got a little upset. Some of the guys got a little upset with me because they were all sort of putting out the narrative that it was a camp battle that was too close to call. And I was putting out the actual data because the data was being tracked on completions, touchdowns, interceptions. And Jameis was blowing him away day after day after day after day after day. And I was extrapolating the data over a season and showing that, like, here's Jameis is going to be at like 33 touchdowns and 8 picks, and Taysom is going to be at 12 touchdowns and 24 picks. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Why are we telling our readers that it's too close to call? It's not too close to call. It's not even remotely close. And then Sean had it all set up, and this wasn't really reported on. I don't remember reading any articles about this, but Sean had it all set up to where Jameis was the guy, even though Taysom was put out there first. He got to start that first game, and he got to take reps as QB1 the first day of training camp. Sean set it all up so that Jameis got to open the dome. That Jameis was going to be the QB1 on the day they reopened the dome and had fans back in it for the first time since COVID. And they also brought back a bunch of starters that game. Jameis went in, threw 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and then Sean declared him quarterback 1. And so, like, it wasn't a competition. It was a competition, like, for the media and for the fans, but, like, the players knew. Everybody knew.
That's what I said. I said if he starts Taysom over Jameis, he'll lose a locker room.
Yeah,
he's not gonna do that.
Exactly.
You know, I gotta say though, you've been great, man. You have been great, and
I told you you'd like me.
you know, you've been great. You know, and like I said, I love a good debate. Even if I got to play devil's advocate, which I did for the first 30 minutes of the show. Everybody knows I don't value rings that much. I do value winning, but I do believe rings are a little overrated. But, you know, I just wanted to have a debate with you. I had to, because you were talking spicy in the DMs. I was like, nah, we're going to debate. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what we end up doing a debate on. We had to have a debate. So that was my favorite part of the show. I really enjoyed debating with you. I can see why a lot of people don't want to debate with you. You know, I can see why. You know, I definitely could see some sensitive ass PFF analytic bozo getting in his feelings because you brought up some shit he can't debate you on. Like you brought up Odo Graham on me. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. In my mind, I'm like, he really just brought up Odo Graham. I said, get the fuck out of here, bro. I really did, because I'm like, yo, I'm old enough to remember some of the dudes you brought up. I'm like, there's no way there's people in my chat who knew who the hell some of those dudes you brought up. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? So I could definitely see some arrogant ass punk who thinks he knows everything getting annoyed with debating you. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah.
So, but you've been great, man. Like I said, my chat loved you. They don't normally like a lot of people on my chat, but nah, man, it's been great having you on. It really has been.
I had a lot of fun. I'll be happy to come back on sometime, and I hope you have a great year, man.
And another thing too, because sometimes people, I got to toot my own horn a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people think you could just turn on YouTube and talk. No, it's not that. It's not that easy. Jameis and I have never had one vocal conversation before we went live today. And we gave you a beautiful show for 2.5 hours.
That's
credit
true.
where credit's due.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Credit where credit's due here. Not everybody can be a good host. I try to be a good host out here. You know what I'm saying? I had to toot my own horn out there because I was like, you were probably the first guest I've had on my channel who I never had a vocal conversation with before we went live with.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I remember in our DMs, you said we should probably not do it live because the chat might get too crazy. And I was like, no, let's do it. Let's do it. But yeah, this is the very first time I've ever heard your voice.
Yeah.
You know, personally, yeah.
And we went 2.5 hours and it was gold. It's 2.5 hours of gold right here. This is good shit. Y'all make sure y'all rewatch this back. I might put this as a bonus episode on my Shots Fired podcast. This is good stuff here, yo. A lot of gems got dropped on here too. So, you know, I just want to thank Jameis 1of1 for coming on. Gave y'all a great show. And I hope y'all appreciated it. And we're going to get on up out of here.
Thanks a lot, brother. You have a great day. I had fun.
Yeah, you too, man.